everybody. It's Blair Johnson with the Badass Records podcast, welcoming you in for another episode, and I am thrilled to let you know that this week's guests are Brian Kraemer and Nick Aguero of GFM Recording Studios. You can find them at gfmrecording.com or at GFM Recording Studios on Instagram. They offer custom beats, mixing, and mastering in Blue Springs. They're custom built for artists, bands, agencies, and sync. Give them a shout at 816-598-8810 or come see them at 1118 West Main Street. Podcast episodes air Thursdays. Keep tabs on its ongoings via Twitter and Instagram. Website's badassrecordspodcast.com, and you can holler at me at badassrecordspodcast@gmail.com. That's all I got for you this week. Appreciate you stopping by. Hope you enjoy the show.
All right, buddy.
All
right.
Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it.
You got it, dude. Thank you for having us.
Yeah. So, in a perfect world, this would be episode 172 of Badass Records podcast.
Nice.
Love it.
Brian Kraemer and Nick Aguero.
Yep.
Am I pronouncing both right?
Yeah.
Good. GFM Studios.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
So we've got gfmrecording.com and at GFM Recording Studios on Instagram, right?
Yep. Perfect.
Okay. Custom beats, mixing, mastering in Blue Springs. Custom built for artists, bands, agencies, and sync?
Yeah. So TV for music, for film, TV, that kind of stuff. Netflix, it syncs with, like you're talking, like we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Syncing it with the film.
Oh.
Sync because it syncs with a visual element.
Okay.
So sync music, TV, video games, even.
Okay.
Kind of
Cool. Agencies, like people that are trying to farm out,
advertising,
Corporate agencies.
that want to do ads and
jingles,
voice.
background music. Another, for example, there's a PSA on the radio right now for Kansas Lottery or Kansas Department of Transportation.
Department of Transportation, because of a thing of
those scam
texts. You get because you haven't paid a toll. They're gonna come and do this. I don't know if you've gotten them, but
1,000 of them.
Yeah.
And my boy plays a ton of hoops year round, and we went to Topeka for a 3-on-3 tournament and went through the K-tag or whatever, and I was aware of it, and I got a bill for it in the mail, and then I got a text for it, and they always say,
revoke your license.
click the link and back out of the text and then come back into it, and then nothing ever works. I was like, what is this? So, the timing of it jived with the actual thing that I owed. I swear to God. And, and I kept getting bills in the mail, and then I'm getting this text, and it doesn't look 1,000% legit, but it's close.
Yeah.
So I'm like, and then I Googled it, and it was like, if you're getting these, don't do that. That's a scam. And I was like, whoa. Okay. Eventually paid the thing. But then in March, my ex and I drove to Florida for spring break with our 2 kids. And we stopped halfway in Memphis on a Friday night, caught a Grizzlies game, crashed in a hotel room, did the rest of the leg on Saturday. And it was really weird. There was a pocket late in the day where there was like 7 big, giant SUVs, all with Missouri plates, clearly caravanning, doing like 90. And I was, I'm not speed limit. I'm 10, 12, 15 over, 11, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
I don't want to,
Yeah.
But when this thing blew past, I was like, don't mind if I do.
You got the tags.
Yeah. And so for an hour, we're just blazing down the highway, and they eventually all got off for a pit stop or something. And like 2 weeks ago, I get a text from my ex, and it's a letter from this very southern town in Alabama being like, you didn't pay the speeding ticket that we sent you information about in March, or you didn't pay it in April. So now it's this much. And if you don't pay it by May, we're looking at possible warrant and suspended blah, blah, blah. No, not where. Crossroads, mile marker, not how fast over, just a freaking letter. And it was like, that's super annoying, although I would take that over getting pulled over.
That's true.
Any day, especially with my kids in the car.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's a drag. It's $125, $150. Like 3 days later, I get a text. You haven't paid the speeding ticket. And I was like, what the?
What?
Oh, man.
Like, whoever's behind this sharp. And then,
yeah, dang.
access to information to then, like, real law-oriented information to then go and try and scam somebody.
It has to be a hack system of some sort.
Right?
It has to be.
It's crazy.
Dang.
It's nuts.
Yeah, call the sheriff down there or something like, hey, is this ticket even real? Like,
I mean, and what's weird is that we took her car. I'm pretty sure that I was driving, but I don't think she got a text. So it's like, how do you...
camera? Maybe it's a camera.
Maybe.
But you'd think the plate is registered
It
not
is.
to your face.
It's not...
I mean...
It's
That's a good point. That's a good point.
mean,
her face and her address and
Yeah.
her all of her stuff. But I was like, I'm fucking insulted right now that you just convinced that it was me. Which is, similarly speaking, I had a customer do a Taste of Lee Summit or something like a downtown big fair recently. And he's a small operation, very small brick and mortar. Most of his revenue comes from a food truck that he has. But he does all of these functions every once in a while, and he will loan him refrigerated trucks to store all of his stuff on. And he's got to pay a small fee, and he's responsible for keeping it running by putting fuel in, out of his own pocket. But there's a pretty, insurance wise, you got to be up to snuff, insurance wise, in order to even be given this vehicle as a loaner. So we took it to him several days before his function. And a few days later, I get a call from the vice president of transportation. He's like, dude, homeboy just drove the truck. I was like, oh, shit. Oh, my God. And I'm sure he was just crunched for time and not really thinking about it. And just, I'm ready to roll down to where I'm going to be set up for several days. So I called him. I was like, dude, did you just drive the truck? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, dude, it's in the paperwork. You can't liability.
Was there like GPS and all this?
Well, yeah. So the dude in transportation was looking for another driver to determine how far behind on his route he was, and do we need to send somebody to help him to get caught up. And so he was looking for this one truck and saw the other one moving, and then immediately accessed the camera, which I didn't know. But I was like, it's no big deal, but we have to move it for you. So when the function's over and you need to take it back to your shop, we'll move it. And then when it's time for us to take it back to our place and you're done with it, we'll move it. Just let us know. But I called the dude back and I was like, wasn't him. Somebody stole it. He's like, I already looked at the camera and saw that. I was trying to be funny. But I don't know if
Camera's lying. I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know if the speeding ticket things, are capturing your face or what, but I do know
That's kind
that
of crazy. That's kind of jacked up.
Yeah. A few years ago, I was coming back from Colombia, and I came over a hill, and there was a cop that had pulled somebody over, and I was in the far left lane. I was speeding, and I slowed down, and then
You're on record right now.
just as he's like kind of reaching that out of sight in my rear view range, I see his flashing lights come back on, and I see him pull out. I was like, fuck, I think he's coming for me. So I see a semi, and I get over in front of the semi. And just
Oh yeah.
Did it work?
and no.
Oh, no.
man.
All of a sudden, the semi gets over, and the cop's right behind him. And he comes up on me, pulls me over. You know why? My tags were expired, and there's a thing that transmits.
No
Serious?
way.
Because I was like, bro, you were on the shoulder. I was in the left lane doing the speed limit. There's no way you could have seen that little... He's like, we don't need that.
So it's in the sticker, or is it in the actual plate? Or I mean, it has
Probably
to be
the
in sticker.
sticker.
It has to be. Wow.
Yeah.
And
I've
that
seen...
must be like faulty tech, because I don't know how many streets you guys have driven around, but like so many expired
Yeah.
tags like everywhere.
Yeah.
2023.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
what?
I mean, I don't know, but and it was I had just bought this vehicle kind of recently, and
It's my ex-wife's, I promise.
no, we were forever. Her car and my car were December, so it's like every 2 years
Yeah,
in
but
December. But I bought the car I was driving died in like May or June, and I bought a new car, and because it was an odd year and the car's an even year, I could only buy 1 year plate for that first time. And I bought it and didn't think about it again ever until that moment. I was like, dude, no, there's no way. And he's like, come. And I was like, oh my God, they totally are. But yeah, there's something. And I've since seen like a TikTok of, you see a cop in his patrol car and he's got his laptop open, and you can see on the screen vehicles are passing and it's sending
some sort of message.
a message saying like legit, expired.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like going into Costco or something, you scan. Yeah.
Dude, I mean, make
Dang.
it tough to get away with anything.
No
no
kidding.
kidding.
So,
That's why I just follow all the rules.
I mean, I try to.
All of them.
man.
Every last one of them.
Yeah, I try to.
Gosh.
I
We're
try
on
to.
record, so you
Yeah.
know.
Hey, nice.
I'll tell you. Remind me, and I'll tell you the rest of that story when we're not recording.
Okay.
So
We got a cop story to tell you probably too.
GFM
yeah.
Studios in Blue Springs has been around for how long?
Man, this is our 7th year in the
Dang.
place we're at now.
Okay, you had a previous spot?
Yeah, we did. It was up in Liberty at his house. In
Okay,
The backyard,
okay.
in Morton Building, and we started there.
Cool.
Yeah.
So 2018,
Beginning of 19.
beginning of 19.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
cool. And the idea for this is born from what?
Oh, okay. We'll start like this, I guess. So, we've both been musicians our whole life. We met at Chapman Recording and Mastering. Used to be the place around Kansas City to go and record. It was, pretty great place, and a lot of people went through there. A lot of famous people, and we were just really. Oh, sorry.
You're good. You're good.
I'll lean in a little bit here. And so, basically, how do you want to start? Let's just start from I went to school, and then I met this guy. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, we met at Chapman, yeah.
So in 2016, interning. I went to college for recording, and then I went to Chapman to see if I could get an internship. Talked to Chuck, and it was a really good talk. Really cool guy. I was so intimidated, man. I mean, so intimidated. At the same time, he was cool. He made me feel at home, And he goes, "You're still in school?" Yeah. And he goes, "Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not gonna hire you as an intern just because we don't hire people, in school still." I was like, "Okay, cool, but anyway, tell me about your background, this and this." And so, told him. 3 hours later, we had a great talk, and he's like, "I got a feeling about you. I'm gonna put you with my best intern, Nick." I was like, "Okay, great. Oh, awesome," and showed up and met this guy, and then clicked like that. We had the same ideals, same passions.
School for recording is where?
So I went to Johnson County for
Okay.
recording class.
And there's a program there that you were aware of?
Yes,
Okay.
there is. It's actually a pretty great program. You start with MIDI class, and then you go in recording 1 and recording 2. You do projects the whole
MIDI
time.
meaning MIDI?
Yes.
What is that? Because I see it in my stuff. It's like, do you want a MIDI plugin? I'm like, I don't. Stop asking me that because I don't know what it is.
MIDI, the definition, I will defer to this man.
MIDI's like code, basically. And basically, MIDI is just like little triggers that triggers a sound. So MIDI information is kind of complex, but pretty simple at the same time. Basically, you have like a synthesizer, let's say, and you trigger MIDI notes, or let's say like a C note on there, and then and you put your MIDI on a little grid, and C note at this time in the song or this time in space, whatever, I want to play a C for this amount of time. And then it's a little cube, a little block, a little rectangle, and it tells the synthesizer or whatever, like, you're supposed to play a note C at this time for this duration of time this velocity.
Okay.
Much. And in music, that's how MIDI basically works.
Huh.
Or a drum or whatever. It's how like digital stuff is programmed.
Interesting.
Essentially.
So there's a dude named Grayson Curran, Currin.
That sounds familiar.
It does sound familiar.
He's been just exploding in the last year and a half, writing amazing, huge feature pieces on musicians and bands, and he actually you can't see. But this is a record called Play, Pause, Stop by Benevento Russo Duo. Are you familiar with these guys?
No.
Just keys and drums.
Really?
Wow.
And it's I got goosebumps right now. It's the most incredible, emotion-invoking...
What's the name?
Benevento Russo Duo.
Benevento Russo Duo. Okay.
Marco Benevento and Joe Russo. Joe Russo now does J-Rad. Joe Russo's almost dead, and so they cover dead songs and they sell out places. Anyway, awesome. I think that record's from 08 or 09 or 07, somewhere in there.
06.
06. Okay. Absolutely love it. It's crazy that it's only 2 people. I started buying a little bit of vinyl just to have for display for this.
Yeah.
And one day I was like, I'm pretty sure it's this record. Oh, I got to have a copy of that. And so I bought it, and it came, and just pages of liner notes written by this dude,
That's cool.
Grayson Curran, who had just been all of a sudden infiltrating my Instagram. And I was like, oh my God. Immediately DM'd. I was like, dear sir, your biggest fan would like to, just fanboying. He didn't ever reply, but,
Dang.
but
it was handwritten notes?
Well, no, it's just the
liner
notes.
was
written by him.
Oh, that's cool.
Which was this guy's really cool, and this is a thing that I've loved for years, and now all of a sudden they live together, wild. Mm-hmm. Anyway, he posted just the other day, I forget what publication he wrote it for, but he wrote a big old piece on Jimi Hendrix's "Are You Experienced?" And whenever he posts, there's a link to the article in his bio, but he'll write a big old thing and then continue in the comments. Big old long. And it's I stop whatever I'm doing and read all of his stuff because he's a great writer. His copy's always 100% clean, which is my nerd wheelhouse. Writing is kind of my passion. So he's writing about this record and how insane Jimmy's bandmates were talent-wise, and he tagged another handle saying, "I know this guy thinks that the Doors were better than the Jimi Hendrix Experience."
Man, better is so relative. I wouldn't say better, man. Jimi Hendrix had his own thing. Jim Morrison had his own thing. They all had their own thing, and they were totally different.
Well,
at the same time,
interestingly, I have been, and it's not a big discography. I've been going through the Doors discography, just to have it. You know, I started with FM radio and then got the Doors' greatest hits and shamefully hid that away. And bought self-titled Debut and LA Woman and Morrison Hotel, and that's it. Like, and so I was like, I gotta know the Soft Machine, and I gotta know this, and I gotta know that. And my daughter and I, along with like 150 other people, floated the Buffalo River in Arkansas this past weekend. And, you know, which
That's cool.
basically means I'm traveling alone and she's either, you know, on her phone or asleep in the back seat. And I was like, oh, this is perfect. I don't have to, like, it's not going to be Doors driveway to driveway, but I'm definitely going to. And so I was like, you know, I haven't listened to LA Woman in a long time. And so I hit play on it. And the lead track is called The Changeling, which beyond 40 seconds is kind of a dog shit song. But those 40 seconds, those guys are in that pocket. And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, and okay, it's John Densmore and Ray Manzarek and Robbie Krieger. Who the fuck is playing bass? So I, on the highway, Google it. It's Manzarek playing bass on like
on a keyboard
on a MIDI or something, and then he's playing keys on a Rhodes on his right.
Time?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I've always
the recording
for all their records.
Dang.
Yeah. I was like, I have always known he's amazing, right? Ever since I very first heard Riders on the Storm and all of the staples. But I was like, what? And so I got through.
That's amazing.
Get through the weekend, and they're like, all right, so what am I missing? And there's two post Morrison's death. One, the first one was ideas that they had already put together and kind of quasi-recorded. Jim's in Paris. They're waiting for him to get back just to plug in the vocals, and it's a done record. Doesn't make it back. So they all took turns singing the vocals for those tracks and called the record Other Voices.
Wow, that's
and I was
cool.
like, what?
That's
and I mean,
cool.
like the year after LA Woman, this comes out. And then I just listened to the final one like last night and this morning. And they brought in a couple horn players and some other, and it's good. Anyway, I don't know how the heck we derailed that badly, but
I great. I mean, honestly, it is
something
greatness.
about the MIDI.
Yeah, we got on the
made
Jimi
me think
Hendrix.
of Ray doing bass and whatever.
Yeah.
It's the
So,
same thing. You can trigger MIDI through a keyboard.
MIDI and then recording 101 and 102
Pretty much, yeah.
and what else
and then
was
Jimi
there?
Hendrix, and then the.
Oh, he's saying your schooling. I think.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Trying
I
to
thought
get
we were
the-
recapping.
No,
that.
I'm
Get
Sorry.
the train back on
Yeah,
the rails.
yeah,
Get the train
yeah.
back on the rails.
No, so recording 101, 102. You know, I gotta say, in this business, it's not about school. I learned that when we went out and became professionals. It is about school in the way of it gets you a little bit set up. It teaches you the DAW, you know, stuff like this. It can teach you basics, but the real life application, absolutely not, you know.
Putting in reps. That's where
yeah.
you learn it.
I mean, you know, you got a recording studio and you want someone coming in to record, and then you got a band that calls and goes, "Hey guys, this last studio we were going to, you know, record at canceled on us." Oh yeah, we're your guys. It was our first session, and it was with an awesome band. I don't know if I can mention them. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Freight Train Rabbit Killers.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Awesome
Yeah.
band.
We may have messaged at some point. I don't think it went very far, but
They're really good
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
They're cool dudes. Man, they brought.
I
All their-
heard they've got chops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Cool.
They're talented in a way that's just pretty like wow, it's you know,
Unique
stunning.
and awesome,
Yeah,
yeah.
it really is. So we were, I mean, nervous to say the least. They wanted to do a 3-day engineering session with the whole thing of bringing in their fans, locking the doors, pretty much making an experience, selling tickets. and it was the
While
Hammer
they
of
recorded their album.
While they record, yeah, Hammer of Judgment sessions is what it was called. And so we're like, okay, come on in, man, let's do this. They brought this awesome engineer from
Minnesota.
Minnesota. That's what I was gonna say. Okay, good. You thought the same thing. But then this guy got sick, and day one, something with his stomach, went to the hospital, and pretty much had to stay there.
The engineer they brought in?
Yeah.
And so we ran that first session that whole night.
Engineer has been, for the uneducated, it's been told to me from that side of the table is sort of like positioning things and setting up structure. So it's not necessarily the hands-on.
It's actually these days it's we'll just say there's tracking engineers, there's mixing engineers, there's producers, there's mastering engineers, excuse me. And this guy was pretty much a tracking engineer and a mixing engineer. We understand he's probably more than that, but that's what he was going to do that night and for the days he was going to be there. And so we just took his place as far as like he came and set up a lot of the stuff, and it was cool before he left, and we just took over the recording of the session that whole night. It went well. It was the first one we've ever done that big.
This was in Blue Springs?
Yeah.
Okay.
At the studio, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how long?
His role was like to do basically everything. When we say engineer for him specifically, he was like pretty much doing everything, and we were hosting and assisting with minimal stuff at that point.
So you finished, how long was the program at JUCO? 2 years?
Oh, yeah, 2 years.
And then you get, the dude has a feeling and puts you with him.
Yep.
And then was there a time when stuff was happening at your place?
Sort of. So like our place, we were only at that place for a couple of years, and we had some clients, but more it was like a training kind of like thing. And we had some stuff that we were doing, but it wasn't like open to the public where we had like tons of sessions all the time or stuff like this. And so it was more like a home studio, you know, invite or like certain few clients, stuff like this. So then we spent probably a couple of years there just like getting in the reps and like learning stuff and practicing, taking it to the big studio and getting feedback and just getting our stuff together pretty much.
Okay.
We thought anyways.
So
we were.
What was the moment or the space you were in where you guys were like, all right, it's time for us to get our own, take it to the next level, get our own space, etc. What was happening?
So weird thing is that we didn't know this was going to happen. His stepdad came and said there's a music studio in Blue Springs.
Sound studio. Even.
Oh, sound studio. Yeah. In Blue Springs that pretty much is going to be ready here in a couple months to, this guy's moving out, and the original structure's there. He made it sound amazing, and went and checked it out, and it was there. Everything was great. It was something we'd never seen before. The weird thing is it had cubicles because it had turned into from a studio. It was built in 2003.
Originally.
Yeah, Low Key Productions it was called at first. And it turned into a mechanical engineering office. And so the guy who owns it had cubicles in the live room, and it was just amazing to see the studio structure still intact. But then cubicles in the live room was hilarious. It was funny. It was funny. But so we talked to him, made a good deal, and took it there and just renovated the whole place. Went in there and spent months doing it. And
you did the work yourselves?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, not like the build.
Right.
The build of the place was designed by this dude named Steve Durr from Nashville, and this guy's done like Garth Brooks Studio, Capitol Records Nashville, Sony Nashville, Library of Congress, all kinds of stuff.
Did Arrowhead Stadium,
cool.
Acoustics, all kind of stuff, and so it was originally designed by him. And so all the heavy lifting, walls, angles, materials, all this stuff was for the most part done. Doors this thick,
Wow.
It was the whole thing. You have to come out sometime.
Yeah.
See it,
Yeah.
It'd be cool to have you out there.
So you're renting?
Yeah. So we're leasing it from the guy who owned the studio or the building. He was basically retiring, moving back home, and didn't need the space. And it was a studio, and not a lot of people was going to want a studio. And so it was like, dude, it worked out perfect for everybody, basically.
So you still to this day lease from him?
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Same place. Yeah.
How did your stepdad stumble across this opportunity?
They work together. So
Oh, okay.
So my stepdad's an architect, and this guy is a mechanical engineer, and so they kind of have some overlap.
Gotcha.
And so they knew each other. And
So when you get in there and make the space the way you want it to be, it didn't come with any gear, did it?
No.
So you're bringing whatever's at your place to there, and then gradually adding to it.
Exactly.
Okay.
We did, but actually we went to Nashville and bought everything down there, and so we went to, what was it, West?
Yeah, well, we
Westlake?
went down to Nashville before we started it, and got to go all over town.
Yeah.
And Chuck, our mentor, hooked us up with a guy who was down there, who was connected with everybody in town.
Wow.
And so they took us around for 3 days to all the studios, Warner Brothers,
insane.
Sound Emporium.
That sounds
and all
rad.
these. And we got to meet people and spend hours talking with all these people and looking at designs and equipment and all kind of stuff. And then we went over to this place called Westlake and talked to this guy named Chad.
Yeah.
And he got us set up with the extra gear that we needed to kind of
It was good to get a start. It was.
So when you were down there, were you just looking, or were you making purchases as well, or?
But we were networking, and then we made purchases. Like, it was kind of like a multifaceted trip.
Sure. And then were you responsible for getting it all to Blue Springs on your own?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we have a truck, so I mean.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it wasn't too bad.
It's not shit sticking out.
No. In fact, that was the same trip. We went to Warner Brothers studio, and they're here redoing their console on the inside. This dude's makes like 26 number one hits, and he's over here with his assistant taking his whole console, those boards with all the knobs and stuff, taking it apart piece by piece because stuff had
Melted.
they put these bad pieces of equipment on every single channel by the design, and they had all melted, and so they were taking this whole thing apart to take these things off and replace
From internal heat?
inside heat. Yeah, they get really hot. Those big consoles get really hot, and so it all melted. And so they're tearing all this stuff. They're pissed, and they're gracious. They just were really nice. Put down everything they were doing. Talked to us for like an hour. They had a tape machine in there, a Studer, which is like one of the most famous kinds of tape machines from Warner Brothers. Who knows who's recorded on that thing? They said, man, they were pissed and said, that thing's a paperweight. We don't need that. If you guys want it, you can take it home. And we didn't think they were serious. We weren't sure they were serious.
They sounded serious, man. They really did.
We just were too naive at the time. We didn't say anything, but I mean, we don't know that they weren't serious to this day. We still joke about it, like, man, we should have taken that tape machine. Yeah.
So anytime I see somebody set up, and the same is true from the post that you guys tagged me in, I look at a board like that and I immediately think there's no way that all of those freaking knobs do something.
It's true.
There's rows for days, and they've each got 6 or 8 per row.
They all need exercised or they'll go bad. All of this stuff. Yeah, man. And cleaning, constant cleaning.
Seriously?
Yeah.
If you don't want it to crap out on you,
Wow.
pretty much. You just got to, it's something. We've got an air purifier in there just to make sure dust is at a minimum. Oh, man. We took it apart, actually, a couple months ago. Took the whole thing apart. Took us a week to take all the channels out, clean everything, exercise all the knobs at least a few hundred times, all of them. And
every one of those.
Yep. Put it back together. It worked like new,
It's true.
But
we can tell you about that console
maintenance.
sometime too. I don't know when's a good time to talk about it, but
so on my list of questions to ask, how did you choose the space you chose? Already answered that for me. How did you get the equipment? Trip to Nashville and other sources, knowledge of how to use all that stuff. You had the job, you had the education, you get partnered up, and I mean, it seems like a base of knowledge that is not finite. Like, you don't just learn all the things, and you don't ever have to learn anything new ever again.
100% true. Especially with technology and stuff, how it's going nowadays. Like, dude, you got to move fast. And you got to know all the fundamentals, but you also got to know what's today and what's coming next year or whatever. Because you got to be at the front of it because it's moves so fast. So it's definitely infinite.
So tell me about this console then.
Yeah, so the console specifically.
That's the board
big
with all
board.
the okay,
Exactly.
right.
Yep.
SSL AWS 900. That's what it is.
Yep. The SSL, that's like a brand. Let's say like in pro audio, there's let's think of SSL as like Nike. There's another one called Neve, the one that they had at Warner Brothers. That's like Adidas or something. And then like another one called API, which is like Reebok or whatever. But like the top, like they're either this, or this, pretty much, with exception.
Yeah.
But anyway, so SSL, that's the brand that we got. And they all have a specific characteristic or sound, right? So the one we got, we'd been talking about it for years, and I don't know,
actual years
talking about getting one. And our mentor Chuck had talked to us about it. He'd had many over the years, and talked to us from a business perspective, from a personal like love of the craft perspective, and from just like a cool perspective, all basically anything. And so we had talked about it for years, and we finally found this one that came up, and is like pretty good price. Really the perfect console that would fit what we do as far as size, as far as functionality, whatever, sound, all of this. And then the guy that it was coming from, the guy who owned the console that was selling his guy's name's Ken Lewis. And this guy, he's from New York originally, but this guy has like 140 gold and platinum records, just got 2 Grammys.
Giant.
He's like top 79 #1 Billboard, something like this.
Wow.
He's a producer engineer guy, and this was his piece of equipment. So everything that got done on that Badass Records podcast, there's one record called Once Upon a Time in Shaolin, if you've ever heard of that. Wu-Tang Clan, one copy exists. It's just sold a couple of years ago for $2 million to an individual, something like this, to an individual guy. It was mixed on that console by Ken in a
bunker,
top secret bunker or something. And even all the band members, the Wu-Tang Clan, each person hasn't even heard the whole thing. They just did their part. And I don't know.
I have a few different series. One is a discography series. Part of that Doors curiosity is like, at some point I'll do that. But I've done I've done a Beck. Cool. I've done a Tom Waits. I did a Tribe and De La combined discography. So that there's the discography series. There's a Becoming a Swiftie series where I
here we go.
talk to Swifties about their whole story. And then I have a series called Wu-Tang 101. And I did all the Wu-Tang studio albums in one episode, which was where I learned about that record and its crazy story.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, obviously I can't do a Wu-Tang series if I don't go through everybody's solo stuff. Put it all together, it's 80 records.
Jeez, I was wondering. That's
so I've done. I think I've done Inspect a Deck, but I need the 2 people that I've done episodes with are not super eager to commit to do another one. So I need a person, or people to keep that series alive. But it was. Somebody owned it, and then it was sold, and they don't know, they've never heard it, and when is this over? When is it going to be like?
Everybody, there was feedback. There was
an update on it a few months ago at a mixing night. Ken Lewis again.
He did do one.
He did an update. Pretty much, I guess someone bought it and was going to. There was a rumor of releasing something.
Yeah.
But I never heard
nothing yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was mixed on there. You talk about this episode of Swifties. He got a Grammy for the Taylor Swift Midnights album.
Great record. I love that record.
Yeah. Anyway, so this guy's done everything. Bruno Mars, Uptown Funk. The horns on that song was recorded on this console. Eminem, Kanye West, Alicia Keys, you name it. Lots of people done on this thing.
That's
so
rad.
it's got a lot of
mojo, man.
Yeah.
So
and a lot of dust that we cleaned out.
That's true. Okay, so your console, and what are the? I mean, obviously, mics and headphones and stuff like that. What are? I mean, do you have a drum kit? Do you have keys, or is it just?
Yeah.
Okay, so give me
Yeah.
a rough look at the inventory of the things that you guys have.
Cool, yeah. So the drum set, we got a Treehouse 7-piece. Derek Sharp is a really good guy. He's in Topeka for Supersonic Music. I don't know if you ever heard of Supersonic. Topeka and Lawrence has a store, and he owns both of them. He's a really great guy. He makes drums down in this like makeshift factory he built under Supersonic Music in Topeka. And so he took us down there and showed us, all these shells and how he does it, and pretty amazing.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and so we bought that drum set from him, and it's a beast. It really is. It can do any genre. It sounds great. Besides that, I think we got a Yamaha G1, Baby Grand piano, and then we have microphones. We have 2 U87s, Neumanns, industry standard stuff.
Are these the hanging kind?
Yeah.
Okay.
The gold ones. They're pretty popular. And, yeah.
Sure.
Got a couple 414s. We got some Sennheiser 421s. We've got
We got a lot.
a lot. Yeah, man.
Don't know how detailed you want, but
Well,
we got a plethora of microphones, which
Sure,
Chuck,
sure.
our mentor, helped us kind of.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
understand what they did. And
Yeah.
Right.
what purposes they
Right.
did. But
So the Yamaha is keys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
baby grand piano.
Baby grand.
Oh, okay. Those are okay. So you have the baby grand and a drum kit, and then other instrument wise, people are bringing their own stuff in.
For the most
usually, yeah, we've had people come in, and we've got some guitars there too. We've got a Stratocaster and a Les Paul and a Ibanez bass and stuff like this.
Cool.
So we do a lot of producing with those too, and it helps us. And if someone needs it, come in and use it.
I've got to believe that there's some insurance
Absolutely.
that
Yeah,
if
yeah.
something happened. I mean, is it reasonable?
It's not bad,
It's not
honestly.
terrible.
Okay.
Chuck hooked us up with his guy.
Okay,
and
there you go.
so-
Shouts out to Chuck.
Yeah, shout outs to Chuck.
Several
yeah.
times over.
We've been so fortunate to have like killer mentors, and got to shout out Rob too. He
Yep,
was at
Rob
Chapman too.
Rebeck.
He was like the main engineer at
Okay.
Chapman,
Okay.
and he's the engineer who like brought up Tech 9, and like he's like the dude in town pretty much.
Yeah.
Rob Rebeck, and so he helped us out. He's like an older brother, kind of stern, but a good
In a good way.
good
Yeah.
teacher. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So space, gear,
Insurance.
insurance. I mean, I've had what's his name? James. I want to say James Harmon. He owns Jammin' Nuggets Music in Sedalia, a record
Dang.
store.
That's cool.
And I'm not certain if he's the only record store owner I've had on, but I said to him, how in the world in 24 or whatever it was when he was on, is there margin and profitability in having a brick and mortar record store? And he was like, well, there's not much, but
Yeah.
if you manage the used and the new, and keep your overhead low, like so on and so forth. In again 2025, when I hate to use this phrase because I don't mean it to be disrespectful, but lots of folks make records in home studios and in basements. There's got to be obviously profitability. I mean, you guys can't just lose money from the beginning of your thing and all the way. I mean, so how do you figure out, and I'm not asking you to disclose numbers, but more like mentally and strategy wise, how do you,
It's a good question.
we're going to lease this space, we're going to buy all this gear, we're going to get a truck, et cetera, et cetera. How the heck does one...
Well, like a personal truck. That wasn't like the
Oh,
studio
okay.
truck. It
I'm
wasn't
picturing
yeah,
you driving
no,
around in a
it's like
GFM
no,
wrapped.
no way. You wish. No way. It's like,
But is
hey,
there-
you want to jump in my beater? We got room in the back.
was there a formula? Did you just wing it? Like, how did you arrive at sustainability?
I mean, honestly, it's something like you said earlier. It's always learning, always changing with the scene. always doing that pretty much. And so you go in this business to different avenues of revenue within the same field, and that's what we did. When COVID hit, we went to Fiverr, and Fiverr is have you heard of Fiverr? So Fiverr is a freelancing platform that you could find like professionals for, say, I don't know, stuff like we do, or you can go to somebody for, I don't know, design,
Album
graphic
art,
design,
web
yeah,
design,
anything pretty much.
voiceover, lots of different.
It's like an Angie's List kind of something or
Yeah,
other.
yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
And so we started there, and they have like tiers, pro level, and then they have like pro level 1, pro level 2, and then top seller. And so we started out at the bottom and worked fast and came up to level 2 within a few months, and then we became top sellers within like a couple of years, and we're still there. And then so that's a big part of our revenue. And then we have other places like
This
engineers.
meaning folks can find you through this platform.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. It's like
Okay.
a lot of remote stuff. So we've worked with people like in like 27, 28 different countries through this platform because it's the internet.
Yeah.
So yeah, because when COVID came, I mean everything shut down.
Yeah.
Person
So
stuff,
you pay a fee for the level that you're on, and then they don't take a piece.
Well, they do take a piece. You don't have to pay a fee.
Oh,
For this
they
Yeah,
just take a
specific
piece.
platform.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then you move up based on whatever kind of somewhat arbitrary stuff that they have going on,
Interesting. Okay.
algorithms and
Yeah.
whatever.
Okay. So that kind of feeds into my next question, which is,
And then good mentors helped us too.
That's right.
sure,
Because
teaching
we were
you.
we were music guys and not business guys for the most part.
Yeah.
And so that was new. to
Yeah.
us.
Well, plus, like, I mean, from there, it's also the corporate thing. That's where Chuck got us into at first, was going to the ad agency things in Kansas City, going to the ad awards, sponsoring them, going to help with anything they need. We're there, pretty much. And then literally he said it would take about 5 years before you get a, good job out of this. And then 5 years later, we got our first job at it.
Old Chuck knew what he was talking about.
He did,
Old
man.
Chuck
He
knew
really did.
everything. It seemed like.
Yeah.
So folks can find you, and you've through this, and you've obviously done some networking and building. But I mean, is marketing your product is an ongoing thing, right? You don't ever want to just go.
Yeah. Even Ken still markets,
Yep.
live streams, all kind of stuff. I mean, you have to just be ever present right now, and that's something we're kind of learning, like a little bit more so all the time. I mean, it doesn't matter what kind of credits and stuff you got, because tomorrow maybe this 18-year-old kid comes out with a one-hit wonder and you mixed his stuff and you were just boys in the basement, and now everybody loves that song, so they want you to do their stuff because you made his stuff and you're brand new. That stuff happens, and so you just have to always, we're learning, you have to always be out there pretty much.
So is managing, for example, the Instagram, is that a joint responsibility, or does one of you shoulder?
Sometimes multiple joints.
Multiple.
Okay.
Yeah. And so,
Wait, what?
what are you talking about? I don't understand.
Are you calling me on a cellular phone? Prank caller.
No, we have a guy that he's a good friend of ours, and he's in Wisconsin, and he helps with this a lot, and thank God for him. His name's Devin. Shout out Devin.
Devin.
But yeah, it takes. I mean, we just got into heavily getting into Instagram recently, and I hate saying that, but it's true.
No shame in it.
There's a lot to worry about. There's a lot to juggle, and then you're thinking, okay, marketing. Well, didn't think of it in that way, and now we are. And so, again, just growing, learning, trial and error, But yeah, I forgot where I was going.
No, just marketing and growth and staying ever present, figuring out what's going on. I mean,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
both of you. One first and then the other.
It brought up the fact of, like, we've got a couple of cool things happening that we're in it's in the planning stages at the moment, but we've got a writer's room coming up at GFM, which they do these writer rooms.
Come to one.
Yeah, it's hopefully going to be amazing. In Nashville, they have these, and they have them everywhere, but we specifically heard of this in Nashville. And so we called one of our buddies and asked him about it, and he goes, "Oh yeah, definitely. That is awesome. I'm excited." And so we're teaming with him, and we're going.
What's the premise behind it?
In what way?
Well, like, what's the event going to be? What are these?
What is a
like?
writer's room?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, so in this case, it's going to be people who come to our studio that are musicians, producers, I guess songwriters, yeah. And they're going to come and show their stuff, kind of, showcase their music. And we're all going to collaborate, listen together, talk about it, give feedback. And then we're going to have another session like that same month, I think we're planning, that, we invite people to come back and we actually do collaborate in that session on writing some music. And it's hopefully going to be one of the most, creative, cool things we've ever done. That's what we're hoping.
Are folks largely going to be strangers to one another?
Yeah.
In some ways.
Kind of.
We're trying to plan it out to where some people already know each other.
Because there's a difference between hit record and you're
it won't
with
be
your
like
band or just you.
Yeah.
Now you got all these.
No, it won't be like
Right.
that. Yeah, it won't be like that. It's like high level, very high level musicians and songwriters who will get in there, and it'll be open format in the beginning, like he's saying, where people will come play their songs, tell the story behind it, network, collaborate, and just have an experience, have, a select few people to come watch, and experience the thing, and just build like a community. And then out of the community of these people who are motivated and high level, whatever, then have, additional callbacks for select people where we collaborate on music together.
It's gonna be a trial and error
awesome.
and growth process, but we feel like it's gonna hopefully take off. And these things take a couple times.
Of course,
to get everything right.
Yeah,
and
I had my daughter just graduated from 8th grade, and one of the families had a party for all the parents and all the kids, and I at school the day that they finished. I went up to the dad of one of the sons in her grade, who I had seen kind of lose his shit at a volleyball game. And because he was recording and was very tight, neck and neck, and went to extra points, whatever the hell, and they disqualified our team for going out of the rotation. And he was like, "Oh, it's on video." And they were like, "Whatever," and it's over. And the team, anyway. So at school, I've hardly ever interacted with the dude. And I go up and I'm like, "Did you ever, anything ever come of that?" And he's like, "Well, I went back and watched the video, and they were right. We screwed up at some point." I was like, "Oh shit, that sucks." Fast forward to the party a week later or the next day, whenever it was. I'm just standing there. And he comes up to me and he goes, "So I've been listening to your podcast." I was like, "Oh shit!"
Here we go.
And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Well, the way that I'm wired, I have to start with episode 1." I was like, "Oh my god, it's so bad."
I bet.
He's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "You're being nice." Like the first couple were just, a really good friend of mine was episode 1, and this is my 4th set of cameras. Because the first, I get a set and it's like, oh, it doesn't talk to the computer, or this one's too janky and something's all right, so send it back and blah, blah, blah. And I didn't have the power cords mounted. I didn't have the stands up there. They were just willy-nilly Scotch tape. And so we're talking and I look up and I'm like, oh my God, my camera's off. And he's like, oh, dude, mine's been off for like 45 minutes. I was like, you didn't say anything? But, plenty of technical difficulties across a number of episodes. But figuring out, what is a good cadence and what should be the stages of the conversation and managing flow and sound,
Yeah.
He was like, I started with episode 1. I was like, please skip 40 episodes ahead.
Go to 49. That's my.
That's where I kind of started sucking less.
We hear you on that. But I mean, it seems like the best way to do something is just like start going with a general idea, and you'll refine over time.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you try and make everything perfect before you start, you'll just
No. So we were sort of in the marketing lane, and as you started to talk about the writer's room, you were going to say something too, I thought.
Yeah, well, marketing. Yeah,
Gone.
I don't know.
Well, if it comes back,
with
just
the wind.
jump in with it.
Cool.
So musicianship wise for you guys in a pre-studio life goes back to where and looks like what for each of you?
Go first.
Yeah.
Yeah. I won't forget that. I don't think. We'll see.
All right. Hey, for me, so music for me, of course, all my life, my dad was my teacher. He would do stuff like, he put me to sleep to rock music all of my infant and toddlerhood. And so from there, he would put me in the car and we'd drive, and he'd, hey, what band is this? And then I would start guessing and, get it wrong and get it right. And then after I started getting more right, he'd move on to, well, what guitar player is that? Same thing with drummer, same thing with singer.
Interesting.
Training my ears, I didn't even realize it. And so I grew up loving it. I was the only kid in first grade that brought bad company to my show and tell, And kids looked at me like, I was just like, man, come on. How can you not love this? But from there, started playing drums in fourth grade.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right.
Cool.
Love
With
the
support
drums.
of your folks.
Absolutely.
And there was,
the only way.
Was there a space in the home where it carried less than?
In the basement.
Sure.
A snare drum in the basement sounds like a snare drum. It's true. It's hard on the ears. And Dad put up with it. Bless him. So did Mom. And learned how to play the drum set in really early in fourth grade. Went and had this great teacher, Sal. Taught me drums and decided I can play the drum set and the snare drum. You're only supposed to play the snare drum at that time, so I thought it was really awesome that he did that. And so I learned quick on that. Moved up to high school playing drums, got in a band, started playing guitar, and about ninth grade, loved that. So gave my everything to learning guitar.
And kept the kit?
And kept the kit, of
cool.
course. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And so I played.
Not the Tama.
No, not the Tama. I had a double bass drum Tama, and I was stupid. And I'm like, man, if I get this electric kit, I'll be able to listen in the headphones and not bother my parents, and it'd be great. And I got an 8-piece kit here. I traded it for an electric kit.
That
had no
sounds
amp.
all synthy and fake-ish.
It was bad. I didn't know any different at the time, right? But anyway,
I had a buddy that was in college, and he was all about making music his career and recording his career, and he bought one of those, and he's like, check it out. And I was like, it sounds like dog shit. He's like, you don't know what you're talking about. This is what everybody uses. I was like, the things that I listen to sound like drums. That doesn't.
That's about right.
You
yeah,
don't know.
that's about
It's
right.
true, man. It's
I'm not trying to hate, man. I'm just telling you. Asked me what I thought.
Yeah.
I got to jump in real quick right there to say two things. One, I stopped into a store yesterday, and the dude ringing me up. By the way, that's a sweet looking shirt.
He got it for me, actually.
Oh, nice. He's so sweet.
He's a good gifter. I'll tell you that.
When I came in, it just looked like an AC/DC shirt.
Okay, all right.
And when I got up to the counter and he's ringing me up, I looked down and it says ADHD, dirty deeds done next week.
That's hilarious, dude.
I laughed.
Can I get 2 of them now?
Yeah. I laughed like harder than I should have. And I was like, cool, man. I was like,
We've had experiences like that too.
Okay.
We're animated.
So, I have this horrible tendency, and have had for years, where I fall on a new artist or album or song, and I like sickly obsess with it over and over again, to the point where my brain goes, "Careful, you're gonna burn yourself out." And whatever, and
It's
I
not
just
possible.
and I do, and then I have to put it away, and then I love it just the same when I come back to it.
Yeah.
Right now I'm fully obsessed with Kurt Weill. I don't know if you guys know who this guy is.
Dude.
He's from Pennsylvania. He and Adam Grandiseel formed the War on Drugs together.
Okay.
Do you guys know the War on Drugs?
No.
Adam
I hate the war on drugs.
Well,
I'm just
Adam Grandiseel is like a huge Dylan fan.
Dang,
and
okay.
sort of fashions himself as a modern day.
similar style.
Yeah, and does, if I understand correctly, a lot of, if not all of the instrumentation for studio purposes, and then there's a band.
Okay, like for the shows and stuff.
Yeah, and they're like, it seems as though they're tight, and everybody's fine with that.
It's pretty common.
You hear things like Billy Corgan re-recording all of the parts for Siamese Dream after you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and I'd be like, what the fuck
That's
is wrong with you, dude? I'm the drummer. Fuck you, play the guitar. You know. Anyway, so they make a few records and they decide to go their own way. And Kurt Weill and the Violators have been sort of doing their own thing, and the War on Drugs does their own thing. So he put out he's put out a record since, but he put out a record called Watch My Moves a couple of years ago, and there's a song in it called Chazzy Don't Mind, and this is a tough thing for me. There are tracks on all of his records where I'm like, skip, but then there are gems that I just love. This track, Chazzy Don't Mind, as a young person, I didn't understand that overdubs were happening. Like, I'm sitting here in my room.
How is he playing that?
I can. There's only one guitar player, but I can hear strumming and a solo at the same time. What? And then late, it's like, oh, and well, that's an interesting choice. Great sound. You could never replicate that on the road unless you bring another person.
Yeah.
I don't know how to feel about that. And Kurt, I'm pretty certain, does plenty of overdubbing. In fact, I saw him at Liberty Hall a couple of Octobers ago, and he played 13 or 14 tracks and almost had a different guitar for each song. Man. So I know he's like deep in guitar land, right? The way that what I think is overdubbing on the song sounds like almost put that issue to bed for me, because it's just so beautiful. And he's a great guitar player. So there's that. There's on the cover of this record, he's wearing like an alligator head mask with his two daughters, and it just goofy,
awesome.
Stoner for life seeming kind of. Like in one song, he says, a lot of people say, I'm stoned or high, but I never touch the stuff. And it's like, that's a lie. I know that's
a bold face.
But anyway, this tune, he opens it up and he says, strumming a song, that teapot wants to sing along, but I don't mind. And then he repeats the I don't mind part, but goes way, and then the next verse is equally unique, and so on and so forth. And he closes it by saying, strumming my song, that teapot sings in a beautiful falsetto. So there's like a really cool lyric element to it. The guitar playing is amazing, but there is something about the way that either the drums are engineered or how they are in the mix. I don't know, but the snare hits are like fucking gravy. And I don't pick up on that sort of stuff. Yeah. But good Lord, I mean, it is so beautiful. I've probably listened to it 75 times in the last month.
Kurt Vile.
Kurt Vile.
Okay.
And I'll try to send it to you. I'll DM it to you.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Awesome.
That'd be awesome. Violators. I thought that was funny. It's pretty good.
But and so I was one night obsessing over the song, and I was like, God, has anybody ever written about it? And I did find a Pitchfork write-up where the dude was like, interesting to see his progression as a solo artist, because in the beginning he sort of had to like sift through the weed smoke and the amplifier buzz to see his personality, but now it's right there, and he's just sort of walking around in life talking about stuff in his songs. And I was like, that's
cool.
That is
really
what he's
cool.
doing. Like, it doesn't have to be lyrically, it doesn't have to be, a Stairway to Heaven or a big old, American pie, some tale.
Yeah.
You can just be like, my business partner's a good gifter. I got a cool shirt out of the deal.
People don't really pay attention to the lyrics too much.
That brings up
most
a great
people.
point.
So, but
That's true.
I cut you off though, because you go from, you keep the kit, but now you're all in on
sorry,
guitar.
I shouldn't have interjected.
No,
Sorry.
I did.
Well, I brought up the Thomas, and then it gave a clear entry for derailment.
No, so I mean, as far as bring up albums, man. Like during that whole time, it was the 90s. So everything was, it was this, and this, experimental this, alternative this. Sublime, 311, goodness, man, Stone Temple Pilots, Alice in Chains, freaking so many, Blind Melon. You know what I mean? I can go on and on and on.
Have you watched any of the Alice in Chains Unplugged?
Absolutely. Oh,
Okay.
that's my favorite band, man.
There's, I know with the land of hyperbole that we live in these days, I'm like the champion, but no cooler piece of recorded than the opener, which is Nutshell.
Totally agree with that.
And Jerry's already out there.
Yep.
And they kind of come out. Have you watched it too?
He's made me.
Oh man.
I'm just kidding. I gotta give him crap about that stuff.
And they come out one at a time. Lane is on. They gave him some drugs to fight off the withdrawal of the real drugs.
Yep.
And I've never in my life heard that tone of that acoustic electric bass with the.
I got chills thinking about
Friends don't let friends get haircuts.
Yeah,
like,
man.
Burned into the body.
It was so good. So good.
And Jerry's solo is 20 seconds long. One of the best acoustic solos I've ever heard in my life. And then it's over. And I know, like, Jar of Flies and Sap, 2 EPs, none of the tracks on either of those EPs are long runners.
Yeah.
So, of course, it's over quick. But, just even the font that it's written in,
so
and
good.
the candles. Anyway.
Yep.
Alice in Chains, your listing bands.
Absolutely. So Alice in Chains, that's my favorite band. I'd say from 10th grade all the way till Army, right? And that's 19. And
Meaning?
So, I was growing in my love for them all the way until I went into the Army.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, from 10th grade until I was going to the Army. I can't tell you how many albums have affected my life in such a way. Truly. It was all the way from Pink Floyd to, Led Zeppelin, of course. You've got the Kinks. You've got all of these people that, I'm a space hog. You know what I mean? There's just some great freaking bands out there, man. I grew up listening. My dad had all these CDs. He'd buy every album pretty much that came out, and so he would have these, spinners and all this, and it was just amazing. I'd sit there when he was not home, or I'd time off from school, and I would just listen and listen and listen. And
Nice.
Dave Matthews Band, Crash.
So
all of that.
Drums, then guitar, and now you have
Then a tangent about albums.
right, but
Sorry
now you
about
have the studio.
Yeah.
You still make time to play your own stuff and to record your own stuff.
That's the biggest challenge yet.
I see a
it's
ring
rewarding.
here. That means there's got to be some time set aside for
Absolutely.
a wife, perhaps a family.
Exactly.
And a 2.5-year-old.
Okay, okay,
and
okay.
She's strong, man. She comes to the studio. I'm teaching her in the studio, raising her in it, and
Nice.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
hopefully she becomes a prodigy.
Right.
Yeah, hopefully, man. But yeah, so basically, going back from the album thing back to the guitar. Learned the guitar in high school. Loved it. Went to play in a band. Played guitar in a band, and then played drums in a band. Then went to the army. Lead singer in Germany. Became a lead singer and a writer. I played acoustic guitar, learned how to sing and play, and then that became a thing. Got hurt in the army, came back.
Really?
Yeah, I got my leg was pinned for about 6 hours.
Damn.
And, oh yeah, dude. And afterwards, I had to go to the hospital, of course, and everything was dead from here down, and my kidneys failed, all this stuff. And so I had a lot of time after that to heal. I was in a wheelchair for a little while. And and all I did was music. All I did was listen to music, play music, write music, all of this. And so for those years of healing, I call it, just literally healing. I mean, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't walk. I would just practice and practice and practice. When I could get up finally and walk, at least a little bit, then I thought, awesome. Okay, cool. I'm still young. I still got a lot of bursts of energy. I'm going to get up and walk as much as I can to try to turn this thing on, and heal. While I was doing that, started a band and started playing, or actually I was playing and singing at the time. And then, we went to California, out to L.A. and played at Susie's Bar in Manhattan Beach. And it was pretty awesome. Got a scene out there by somebody. And the bad thing was we didn't have a CD. He said, "Do you have that recorded?" "We can right now. Right now." I literally, no problem. Like, what do you want? No, if it happened, this is what he said. If it happened, it'll happen again. It was the worst heart drop I've ever felt in my life. And I spent the next couple of years trying to get everything together with the band and go back. Bought an RV, tried to drive out there. Man, everything just went to shit pretty much. Yeah, excuse me, I didn't mean
No, you're good.
And so after that, it was like, okay, obviously it ain't meant for that. And so after that, I was walking pretty well. I was, fully musician, fully everything, and music was my life. And that's where we take up to going to school and
Okay.
stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it is a challenge to find the time to write, to record, to be a dad and a
Absolutely.
partner and a business partner and run a studio.
It's so I would put it like this, and it's an obsession to do music. In my opinion, you have to be obsessed with it to do it every day, because you got to listen to stuff that is not yours, right? And so you got to listen over and over and over. Especially me, mixing engineer, I got to listen like intently over and over and over, and I love it. It's something that doesn't bother me. But there's people that come in and say, "Hey, man, I can't listen to that again." I'm like, okay.
I've talked with a number of folks who do record their own stuff in their basement or home or whatever, and definitely, A, you got to have an ear, and B, you got to check out and wipe the hard drive, recalibrate, come back fresh. All right, here we go again.
Absolutely.
Right?
Oh yeah, man.
Or
Yeah.
your product won't.
It's true.
Yeah.
You'll just drive it into the ground.
Yeah,
and you learn that as a young engineer. You got to have some mornings that you wake up and listen to what you did the night before, and you got to have those moments, just to understand kind of where the balance is. But
Yeah.
It's very true.
When I have been putting energy in the dream job of writing, a little pocket of time where it was like, okay, if I'm in bed by 8:30, I can get up at 3:30 and have coffee.
Quiet time to write for a couple hours.
And I can punch in at 4 and then punch out at 6, and then everybody's up. We get everybody fed and off to school and go to work and blah, blah, blah. And for a little while, I had that pocket. And, I would always, get halfway through. Let's say I've had a successful 2 hours, and I've 2,000 words down.
Dang.
And I get to, and I ellipses right in the middle of the sentence that I'm on when let's find time's almost up. Let's find a stopping point and pick up this sentence, tomorrow. And then, okay, come back. I'm fresh. oh man, 80% of this is dog shit. Like, it's when I wrote it, it was amazing. Like, guaranteed bestseller.
We've experienced
Come back
that.
the next day, and it's like, of these 2,000 words, only 450 of them are really worth anything. So I waste. I use the hour cleaning up and fixing, and that character would never do that. And all right, and then like I said, I had a pocket, and I got to regain the discipline to get in bed at 8:30 again, which with 2 kids and trying to do this, I don't know that's ever going to happen.
Yeah, dang.
Unless I hit a winning Powerball ticket and I can just do this 9 to 5.
Oh, hey.
But
Oh, no, you bring up a good point. The family balance, for this in our industry, at least for us, we have amazing wives.
It's true.
I shouldn't have the wife I have. I'm
That
serious.
seems
It's so good.
like you're selling yourself a little short.
It's true. No, I'm serious. Why I say that is because there's not a lot of people that will be 100% supportive of someone doing music all the time, because I don't just do music there. I come home and then I'm singing with Brea, my 2.5-year-old, and I'm playing guitar. And my wife doesn't get a lot of time with me in that way. And so but we still get time, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's kind of just,
This 3 hour and 48 minutes that comes out tomorrow, can you see what she wrote underneath her name?
Never stay comfortable.
Never stay comfortable. So crazy adolescent teen stuff leading her to a spot where she realized in order to actually have permission to move out, she had to get married.
Oh, wow.
So she gets married. They're both 21. And tough sledding through pregnancy 1, raising kid 1, pregnancy 2. I mean, they were like, it is over. And okay, I'm gonna work on some stuff. I'm gonna go to therapy, and eventually sort of recalibrating on a big picture level, and saying, it's fine for you. I do this because he came unannounced, and I was like, whoa, oh, hi. You're gonna be off mic and off cam. There's a couch down there, and that's fine, whatever. But learning that just because he likes to play video games or whatever doesn't mean that he's like actively choosing to not spend time with me. I can go edit the current section of the book that I'm working on, or I can go out with friends and have a happy hour. But the minute you get comfortable in a marriage or a relationship, that's when the stuff. So she says, never stay comfortable.
That's cool.
Keep dating. I don't know. She summed it up way better than I am.
For sure, yeah.
But I really appreciated that, because in my own, we drifted into roommate land somewhere in between babies 1 and 2, and by the time she was probably aware of it before I was, but it was kind of too late. And it, like, major kudos to them for the fact that they've been through all the things, but more importantly, I guess, I don't like that. I don't deserve the wife that I have. I mean,
well, I only say that because it is a long job. It's constant, and it is something that, and this is the way it is. It doesn't pay well until it pays well.
Sure. But it seems like, knowing nothing, she loves you.
Absolutely.
And wants to support you, and you're doing something right enough to keep her around.
It's not the good looks. So
It's definitely not the good looks, man. It's definitely not that. I don't know what she's seen. No, but it's true in a way. I'm aware of these things, and I go home and I spend quality time.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
That's deserving right there.
And that's it. But I do. If I'm there for 14 hours at the studio, I feel terrible. I miss her, and so I get sometimes on my pity pot a little bit, whatever. But
sure,
it is what it is, man. It is what it is.
I mean, if you hammer out a 14er, then you just got to say, tomorrow I'm going to cut it at 10, no matter what,
right?
And go home and put in a little QT with.
That's right.
Right?
That's it, man. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then the computer messes up, and it's like, well, I would have been done at 10, but
You bring up a great point. Yeah, that's the truth, man. You tell them, hey, tonight's gonna be early, man. 7:00.
we're doing
7
great.
o'clock.
We're going. It's 2:30. We're doing good. We're getting this stuff knocked out.
And then Pro Tools does not work. Pro Tools, you'll bring it up. That's the DAW we work on.
Yeah.
Does not work. All of a sudden something happens and we can't bounce out about a mix that we want to get, to somebody. And
I had a kid. How did this work? A kid that used to cook for me connected me with a dude that works in a studio, and it's over in Kansas. The name is escaping me. I feel like it's well known. It's like maybe got the word 2 or the number 2 in it.
The one that Mike Pagan talked about.
It's the kid. The kid is Louis Pagan.
Yeah. Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
So the kid that cooked for me, I'll come do an episode with you. But reach out to this guy Louis, and
he's a good guy.
So I said, hey, so and so said, you know what you're doing? Can I pay you to come teach me how to use Pro Tools? And he was like, yeah. So he came over 2 different Mondays for an hour, and we just agreed on a rate. Blah blah blah. He taught me a ton of shit. I took a ton of notes, and then my cousin came over, and
He's like, Reaper's free.
he goes, this is all really good, but you can't edit video in Pro Tools, right? And I was like, regardless, it was fun, and Louis was a good teacher, and then he came and did an episode with me, and that was
that's
cool
cool.
too.
So it's like a win-win.
If you look like this, you didn't get PTSD either,
Right.
which is Pro Tools stress disorder.
Yeah, exactly.
Or as they
Oh
call
my
it in
gosh.
Nashville, slow tools.
That's true.
Slow So what about your musicianship arc? Where does that start?
I just hate music for one.
There it is.
For me, music's always been around for me too. My dad he's a music teacher, high school music teacher. Well, he's taught high school and middle school both, but high school when I was growing up, high school. And jazz guy. So music was always around, came up. I loved drums, started playing drums real young. Didn't practice, didn't listen to what he was trying to teach me, scales, all this stuff that I should pay attention to. Played drums, did school bands, did marching band, whatever, school stuff, and then created rock bands. Went into a metal band in college, and one of the guys kept going, and he went into another band called the Browning, like a metal electronic type of band. Anyways, but I couldn't. Our band kind of broke up, and this dude went and did the Browning and wanted me to play drums for him. And there was just not so much security in music, so it's like both of my parents were teachers, so it's like go to college, get a job, pay your bills, start your life, whatever. And music's not that really, and so it's like, all right, well, I'm gonna go to the Air Force.
You both have been in the services?
Yeah, I'm Army. Yeah, he's Air Force.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if I can. I mean, it's not the Coast Guard, but it's close. It's the Air Force. I mean, no, I'm just kidding. But yeah. So, so I went to the Air Force, and then they went on and did he went on and did his thing, and I'm in basic training, and they're doing like world tours and festivals and stuff, and which was cool and kind of bittersweet at the same time. But then go to the Air Force, do my thing. I'm going to get out and I'm going to, make this money and do these jobs or stay in, whatever. Basically try to set myself up for like a, career of whatever and do music on the side because it was stable. And then when I was in the Air Force, some stuff happened. My wife got in a car accident and stuff happened anyways. And so I got out of the Air Force and I had the GI Bill. So I went back to school for music because it's free. And so then I went to school for music, and then I graduated, and then I went to an internship at Chapman, and met him there, and then kind of like he's already told the rest. Yeah, the rest.
But
is
I mean,
history.
do you also still play and record stuff or no?
Yeah, so for me, sort of, not as much. I do like production and stuff, composition, but a lot of the stuff that I play or do now is in the computer or like MIDI. Programming and stuff like this. We'll do recording and stuff, but I don't play as much like physical drums as much as I used to. But my drums that I play now are in the computer, which is
And he
cool.
plays them well. Yeah,
Cool.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah.
Right on. So, are you guys both born and raised in the area?
No.
No.
Me, Durango, Colorado.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Fort Lewis. Oh, I was trying to find. There's a lot of stuff going on the wall. Yeah, exactly. Well, we lived like in northern New Mexico, in the middle of nowhere, and so Durango was like, a little bit of drive, but it was the closest hospital.
What the fuck is the name of that town? Oh,
Farmington.
Farmington.
Yep, Farmington.
Farmington is where we would go on Sundays if we didn't
Have a hangover.
adeptly purchase enough booze for the weekend.
Because Colorado.
So I Pitt State for a year, and then I out to Estes Park and got a summer job at the Y, and then was going to transfer to KU, and then I was like, why am I going back to Kansas? So I took it,
That's what I'm saying.
So I took a year off, got in state, and it was just based on price tag. It was going to be CSU or Fort Lewis, and I'd been in Estes for a year and a half, and
It's pretty
been to
beautiful,
Fort
but
Collins
pretty expensive.
a bunch, and was like, I know Fort Collins. Fort Collins is like the Lawrence of Colorado, and
Is it really?
Let's go. I'll go down to Durango. So I went down to Durango and went to Fort Lewis,
Dude.
and was on the newspaper and staff. And the dude, my buddy from episode 1, grew up in Durango and was editor in chief of the newspaper at the time.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Durango, Colorado, dude. Yeah, we
Wow.
lived in Farmington, so we had to drive up there.
KDUR.
Oh, the bumper sticker.
That's the college community radio station. I had a show on that for 3 years.
No kidding.
Yeah, a 3-hour
Dang.
block. One rule: you got to play 10 new tracks
Each time?
an episode, and
That's cool.
the whole bands and everybody's sending all their shit everywhere. So shit's just flooding in. So the whole library of CDs, the spines were color coded. So like red and green and yellow is reggae, and black or silver and whatever is metal, and black meant it was a new release. And there's a production room. You could schedule time and come listen to new CDs and find as long as you played 10 new tracks and followed
That's
the
cool.
FCC
Oh, cool.
stuff. It was a lot, and that's where
I bet you learned a lot of stuff.
I learned a lot of stuff. We had PSAs that we would read. We had
Don't click on the link in the text message. It's a lie.
this is the late 90s.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
But we had carts that were 8 tracks essentially with pre-recorded like promo for your show or an ad, whatever. And
That's cool.
the board was kind of a fossil when and about halfway through my stay via the pledge drive every year and whatever else, they got a new one.
Digital, probably.
No, because it's still
Okay.
like late night, but potting up and potting down was
How
what
nice was that?
they would call it. And make sure your levels aren't in the red. Don't
Yep.
pop your P's and your T's.
Nice.
Anyway, so you're from Durango or
Born
from
there, Farmington.
Farmington.
Yeah,
Farmington.
yeah. And then we moved down to Las Cruces.
Wow,
that is.
I absolutely
Yeah.
do. I think I've seen a show there. I'd have to think on it, but I definitely had a post-show panic attack in the backseat of a car one evening as we came over the hill, and there was a checkpoint.
Oh man.
Oh,
I mean-
those are intimidating.
And I'm sitting back there, there's a cooler full of beers, and
as long as you don't have any oranges, you should be fine.
we're all drinking. I was huffing nitrous balloons in the pull-out. We're smoking dope, and we roll up, and they're like, "You guys got any produce?" And
That's what I mean. You didn't have any oranges, so you're cool.
I was like, "I'm sorry, I didn't hear you quite right." He's like, "Yeah, we're just making sure nobody." And I was like, "Nope, not a pear,
None.
not a grape. All right, keep it moving." Just the three of us in silence for like 4 minutes of what the.
We got to tell them the
Okay,
Trooper
we
Shoot
got
story
to.
at some point. Can
Yeah.
can we tell you those stories on here?
What do you mean?
Well, it's like we went to Colorado before stuff was legal in Missouri. It's like a story like that.
I don't know what you're afraid of.
I don't know. We don't know the. It's no holds
I mean,
barred on this.
come on. I don't think there's a, what is it called?
No, I just mean like on your podcast. I'm just trying to respect the podcast.
I mean,
all right. Okay.
the podcast wants to be as organic and genuine.
All
as
right. Well,
possible,
so yeah,
so-
we have a similar story to that.
Okay.
We were going to Colorado, Fort Collins, as a matter of fact, before stuff became legal here.
Yeah.
And you either go through Kansas, and everybody knows that, or you go
I-80.
through Nebraska, and you go over there. And Nebraska seemed safer at the time, so we're going through Nebraska. Go over there, have fun for a couple days, getting ready to bring some back because, hey, it's there. And it's
Can't
cheap.
go to Colorado every week.
That's
Exactly.
yeah, and it's cheaper over there. Here
Yeah.
you get hit or miss,
Yeah.
and you got a guy and whatever, So we're bringing some back, and we're coming back through Nebraska, and we did not get gas where we should have got gas. So it's like you get into northern Missouri or right by the border. Dude, we got to get some gas, and not a lot of places are open right now because it's the middle of nowhere. So we pull off on this exit, and everything's closed down. It's the middle of the night. Go to this gas station. All right, cool. Get gas. It's closed too, but you can get gas at night. Get gas. Get to go back on the interstate. Closed. Construction for X amount of miles. You got to go through this tiny town, these outer roads for 20-mile detour to where you can get back on the interstate. Well, we're not in a hurry, so whatever. So we're going,
he
and
was
we
driving like he was in a hurry.
You would be too if you're sitting next to this guy.
Right,
I'm
yeah,
just
yeah.
saying.
Can't wait to get out of the car.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We've been coming from Colorado, And so we go and we're driving, get through town, and we're going on these back roads. Let's smoke a little, maybe eat a little bit of edibles, whatever. We're in the middle of nowhere. You can see these lights coming behind us, like a ways behind us.
Fast.
And then they're like,
Fast.
coming, like, oh, dude. And then next thing you know, whoop, cop lights, dude. Oh, dude. Hopefully it's cleared out in here. We got the windows down and all this, like, edibles kicking in at this point. It's like, oh, dude.
Yeah.
We're not good at lying, so we are truthful dudes. And so the dude comes up, and I can't hardly look at him in the eyes because I'm like, oh, dude, this is not good. And I'm not going to tell him, like, dude, yeah, we don't have weed back there. We're not coming from Colorado, I promise. And so then the dude comes up to the window. I pulled you over. Oh, gosh, dude. No, not really.
Because you hadn't seen a car in 3 hours?
Exactly. And so we just can't really can't make eye contact, really look at him, kind of glance like, oh, dude, both of our hearts are racing. And this dude's highway patrol. Hey, didn't you go to high school with my older brother? Hey, yeah, I did. What's up, man?
This was in Nebraska.
Dude, in the middle of nowhere.
Wow.
I promise, it's a real story,
It's a
dude.
real
He
thing.
recognized you.
He recognized me.
Wow.
And then he takes me back to the car, and we're just talking for a little bit. And, your eyes looked red up there. Can you take, well, we went to Colorado. We're on a music trip, Of course, we smoke weed out there. It's fine. We're tired. I'm tired. Yeah, of course my eyes are red. Yeah, and just talked and got on to BSing about whatever. And next thing you know, all right, well.
I'm sitting there. I'm sweating.
Yeah, he's up in the
bullets.
truck
What
by
is
himself.
taking so long?
Yeah. Oh, just like, oh God, dude, full on panic. Anyway, full on.
And we're still relatively new to each other at this time, like maybe a year into our relationship or friendship, whatever, not like that, you know what I'm saying?
This mentor guy better be getting us out of this jam.
Dude, and so anyways,
Man.
scot-free.
Wow.
No,
Yeah.
slow it down, have a good night.
Wow.
And then I told his brother the next day, like, dude, your brother pulled us over and all this, and he's like, holy crap, dude, like, he's known for busting people for doing exactly that, and if you weren't, it probably would have been like that. It was like, dude, he didn't say nothing about it.
Wow. That's awesome.
I mean, what is that? It's like a Where's Waldo thing, but on a massive scale.
Yeah.
Like, goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Dude. Yeah.
Okay, so Farmington and
Then down to Las Cruces.
Okay.
And then we moved to Missouri, Independence,
okay.
in 2000.
Okay. Do you have siblings?
But one brother.
One brother.
Yep.
Younger, older.
Older.
Okay.
And
Any idea how your folks met?
I think school, as a matter
School.
of fact, in college.
Okay.
Yeah, they met in
Okay.
college. Yep.
So
A strip club. My mom was working, and it was crazy. I'll tell you. How much time you got? No, I'm just...
So, not referring to the list that you shared, Mom and dad put on music to listen to in the home?
Yeah, mostly dad. Mom kind of. She did oldies though. She did
Oldies?
like. Well, I called them oldies, but it was like the Beatles and
Yeah,
like whatever the
yeah.
oldies station was at the
course.
time, and I hated it as a kid.
Aw.
Like these are moldy oldies. I said. I don't know. I didn't like them. And then dad played like jazz, or like classical music, some salsa, like
Okay.
like lots of Latin stuff.
Cool.
And so that was kind of my influence from him.
So, I often refer to the stuff that mom and dad or whoever's raising us puts on to listen to when we're young as kind of like the furniture. Like we're aware of it, but it's always there, and then eventually you kind of step in this direction, and that's where you sort of begin your own tastes or start your own library. Again, we're not talking about stuff off the list, but is there an album that stands out that was a first buy with your own money or a borrow, something that you were outside of mom and dad's where you're like, wow? And
yeah, my first one that I remember like that, we were talking about this the other day actually, about like, we had cassettes and all this because they were cheaper, and then you got the singles because they were like a CD but not the full cost and all this for me when I was younger. But I'd say for me, the first one that was like that was like the Third Eye Blind self-titled album.
Okay.
That might be on the list.
I'm
not sure, but like
that's okay.
For me, that one was like, I don't know, the first time where I was like, dang.
Okay. What about early or first concert memories? Did you see any live music as a kid?
I saw a lot of music concerts wise because of my dad, but like band, like band concerts with guitars and stuff, not quite as much. But like one of the first memorable ones I went to was it's called this dude named Neil Zaza and Bobby Rock, and they were like, they were like not a big band, but they were like incredible musicians. And this dude had like a freaking 20-piece drum set.
Dang.
All these cymbals, and dude knew how to use them. He was so good, dude. And for example, he went into a drum solo, and of course he was playing on his drums, but then he had somebody hold a chair for him, and this chair was like his bass, and they walked around the entire room, and so like this chair would travel him from this point to this other point, and then when he got to this other point, he would do some cool shit over here, and then he would get back to the chair, and they would walk, and they would do for like 20 minutes around the whole room, his drum set and all this stuff. They were just like amazing musicians. That was like one for me that was like really kind of like
nice.
Eye-opening, because it wasn't like a famous band or something necessarily, but their like caliber was just mind-blowing. So
are you born and raised in the area then?
So I have to say
you don't have to. This is on a podcast.
I have to say where I'm from. It's all right. Topeka. I was born.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Born at a hospital there. Yeah, I don't like admitting that, but I grew up there. Went to Topeka High, and then went to Lawrence for most of after the Army.
Okay.
And I stayed there until I moved here.
Do you have siblings?
I don't. I'm an only child.
Okay. How about your folks? Do you know how they connected?
Oh, you got to tell them the story.
Which one?
After you tell them about how they connected, about Deep Purple.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's sure. Come on. This is the perfect place for
Absolutely. That. So they met. Actually, my dad met my mom through my grandmother at the VA. My dad worked at the VA after he got out of the Army. And my grandma was a nurse there.
Okay.
And then she liked my dad, introduced him to her, and then
the
rest is history.
If it's possible to stay away what were they putting on music to listen to?
Oh, okay. So it was a week before I was born. They went to a Deep Purple concert, and pretty much what happened was I think it was. Oh no, it wasn't a week. I'm sorry, I'm messing that story up. It was only a couple days, and she went home. My mom went home, and like her water broke that night, and so the joke is, I wanted to get out and make some music,
Oh, nice.
So,
so did they put on music to listen to when you were young?
All the time.
Okay.
Yeah, so,
Dad was my bad. Dad was kind of quizzing you all along.
Yeah, and I mean he filled my ears with everything that he listened to, and that was not only I mean, some of it was not country and western, it was 90s country and western, but country, you know, Willie Nelson and people like this. And so my mom she was the country buff, and so she'd play this stuff, and, you know, Randy Travis, Alan Jackson,
Sure,
stuff like that. And so all of that became a little bit of my, you know, I mean, I didn't really like it, but I was 5, and
yeah,
you know, it was
yeah. That's what everybody's listening to, right?
exactly, yeah.
What about if it's possible to pause or to stay away from the list for just another couple minutes? First album that stands out to you that sort of molds the direction that you're gonna.
So the first album I bought, I won't say because it's on the list.
Okay.
The first album that actually I remember getting really a lot of inspiration from was, no joke, that first grade album I was talking about, and that's Bad Company, Holy Water.
Okay.
And, and that just, I don't know, that defined me for first grade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Concert memory.
So the first one I ever went to, besides Deep Purple, was Kansas.
Okay.
And I went to the Expo Center to be able to see them. And I went to Bob Seger and Kemper.
Wow.
That was cool. Then, like, on my own, when I was 9th grade, went to Ozfest. I had to go see it. You know, I was 14.
Yeah.
I had a job, but I couldn't drive at the time because I had a permit, but I drove anyway.
Right.
Took my best friend up there and we went to the concert. And that was awesome. And then started going to Rockfest, you know.
Cool.
As much as I could.
Very cool.
Yeah. Concerts.
Well, I'm super grateful for the list that you guys shared with me.
That was very difficult, by the way.
Well, I know.
There's so many for us.
I know. I have had somebody actually. Okay, so I did have another dude, Kyle Maggart. Where is Kyle? He's episode 155. He owns Brothers KC, Brothers Music KC. And we were rapping, and he was like, "What about you?" And I was like, "What about me?" He's like, "Well, what are your 5?" Yeah. And I was like, "Well, I jotted some notes down on a Post-it in the kitchen a handful of months ago, and in the blink of an eye, it was like 27 records, and it's probably 30 now." And because I sit on this side of the table, I don't have to narrow it down to 5.
Yeah, no kidding.
But so I've since I did an episode talking about that record by myself when I didn't have a guest to, and then I did another one with a Medeski, Martin and Wood record. I don't know if you know those guys.
I've seen the poster, but that's all I know.
And then recently I did a top 5 and put that out. It was brutal to listen to because I just typed up a big old long thing and read it, and it's just dog shit content.
2,000 words or what?
Yeah. I normally will have a few details to share about each record, but I ran out of time trying to make that happen in prior to your guys' arrival. So my apologies for that. I've got it for the first few, and then I don't. But
we can rap on it. It's cool.
Regardless, I like to roll through them in chronological release order, if that works.
Cool. Yeah.
So we got to go all the way back to 1979 to start with Pink Floyd's The Wall.
That's the first one I bought.
This is you?
Kid. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So 11, 15, 26 tracks, 81 minutes, iconic rock out of England. You bought this. Mom and Dad did not own it.
No, a dad owned Dark Side of the Moon,
okay.
And I heard a song, Another Brick in the Wall, Part 1 on the radio, and I had to buy the
Part
CD.
1?
Yeah, Part 1.
Really?
They played Part 1, and then it went into Part 2.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I had to buy the album. I went and bought it, and, yeah, changed my life.
Yeah. Man, this is... do you know the library, the whole discography, Pink Floyd? Do you know all their stuff?
The whole library, I can't probably list it from memory, but I know them.
Okay.
I Wish You Were Here was the one before this one, I think.
I think when
I think.
Wish You Were Here, Animals, the wall.
Animals, the
maybe,
wall. Okay.
maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
It might be Animal. Anyway,
No, that
doesn't
makes
matter.
sense. That makes sense.
So you've got Piper at the Gates of Dawn and Saucerful of Secrets in the 60s, which are Syd Barrett,
Yeah.
pre-David Gilmour. Not my cup of tea.
Me either.
And then everything changes.
Yeah.
And there's a few that are kind of quasi-accessible. Or I should say there's a few albums that have a couple of quasi-accessible tracks and then some stuff that's like, I don't know what's going on here. But then when they get to like Umaguma and Atom Heart Mother and Metal, they are just like in fifth gear. And then, of course, you get the Dark Side, Wish You Were Here, Animals, Wall, run of just epic records.
Yeah.
And that's it. Really, because
Division Bell, I think, right?
in my mind,
Roger
the
Waters.
final cut is after this, and that's almost exclusively Roger.
Yeah.
He's kicked out.
Yeah.
You get kicked out of Pink Floyd for doing too many drugs. It's probably not a thing you brag about.
Yeah,
But he kicks out fucking Rick Wright,
I know it.
Keys, and I don't care for that record too terribly much. And then you know, kind of 4-ish years, and you get Momentary Lapse, the dark Delicate Sound,
Of Thunder.
the double LP live, and then Division Bell,
Yep.
and
Pulse.
Echoes, Pulse, yeah. But you know, FM radio. You know, I was oldies in the car with Mom, and Dad had some 8 tracks of like the Oak Ridge Boys and John Denver, and some those are kind of the two. And then I become, you know, the captain of FM rock, classic rock, and I'd like just live there way too long. Start my collection. You know, I gotta. Well, if I'm into somebody, I gotta have everything they put out. Just spending money before I had it, buying cassettes, and so you know, whatever classic rock radio fed me with, you know, that 70s run of Floyd, and Momentary Lapse comes out, and it's very clearly not Roger Waters infested, and so now I gotta learn what, and it's like, this Roger Water guy's kind of a piece of shit. So then I get the 2 David Gilmour solo records, and Roger Waters doesn't want Pink Floyd to use the Pink Floyd name and play any of his what. So
They're still fighting today. Man.
Well, I don't know.
Understand it.
So I'm Team Gilmour all the way. I respect Roger Waters. This is, you know, have you watched the movie?
Yeah. So that's a crazy point. After I got this, I wanted to get the movie. My dad said it was cool. My mom, not so much. She's, you know.
I'd side with Mom, really. I mean,
I hear you on
it's
that.
disturbing.
But it is disturbing.
The eyebrows and the sausage and what is
I
it?
never saw it.
Oh, dude.
Oh, and the shaving off the nipple. Oh,
So
yeah,
dark.
Man.
Oh,
It's very
jeez.
dark. But that, I gotta say, and this is, you know, I mean, I'm saying it kind of the way I am, but it showed me another side to life at that age. And it actually programmed me to think a certain way. That's not bad. I knew what I was looking at because my mom was, oh, well, this is there and this is there and all this. I had the warning, but I saw it and I'm like, I don't understand what I'm looking at.
Good. If you did, it would be a problem.
Right, yeah. But then I understood the poetry, which was odd. You know, scene to scene, I can see this and I'm like, okay, so this man is obviously... He's beat down. He's made to sing. He's made to go on stage. He's literally shot up with drugs to go up on stage and all of this. And I'm going, wow, who is this Pink? Who is Pink? And that's when the whole thing of who's Pink Floyd and all this, right? And so it kind of just expanded my whole thought process on music, not only music, but what this band was, what a rock opera was. All of this stuff, and I'm like, this is much bigger than just music. It's much bigger than just, a CD I'm listening to. Like, this is amazing stuff. And so it just gave me a depth of I guess, not knowledge, but a depth of something. And I carried that with me. But that movie did that. Yeah, it's like 9 years old when I saw it.
So many good songs on this album.
So many, man.
And there's, having spent way too much time in classic rock land, there's a lot of songs. Like, if they come on, I'm like, turn it. I can't hear that song any more times for this life.
Yeah.
But, like, I'll never hear Hey You too many times.
We were talking about Hey You.
So freaking, and
yeah.
Some of the drum roll or the kick, oh my God.
Absolutely.
Comfortably Numb doesn't bother me. I've heard it I don't know how many times.
Oh yeah.
And then Mother.
Oh man, Mother. That's one of my favorites. Goodbye Blue Sky is one of my favorites.
Look, mommy, there's no in the sky.
Oh yeah.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yep. Oh man.
Takes me to I don't know where.
Exactly.
But I like it when I get there, and then I'm like, let's go back. I gotta get out of here. You know what I mean? It's
definitely.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I could talk for hours about that record.
Me too.
My year at Pitt State, I had 3 different roommates and chunks of no roommate, and I feel like I ended the year with no roommate as well, but it was a big room and it was cinder block walls, so
That's
the
awesome.
whole wall, each crack, and then I, to the best of my ability, even to like scale.
No kidding.
Yes,
Oh,
and
man.
so when it was time for me to leave, I was transferring to KU and never coming back to Pittsburgh State. My dad came down to help me move out, and he walked in and he's like, "I don't remember that being there." And I was like, "Yeah, it wasn't." And he's like, "What are they gonna do?" And I was like, "No, by the time they figure out, we'll be gone." He's like, "That's." So he went to like the residence life director, and he's like, "What happens when you come in a room and discover that you've got to paint it?" And they were like, "It's $150 whatever fee." And next thing I know, here he comes from on my like last day of finals, whatever, comes in with a gallon of white paint and painted it. I was like, "Thanks," but it would have been way cooler to leave it for.
It would have, man.
Not that the next occupant of the room would have gotten it, because they would have painted over it in the
Possibly.
summertime.
It might have still
what
be
if,
there.
though? What
I
if, man?
know.
Did you get a photo? Probably not. It's not like now.
No, this is 1994. But man, just an incredible record.
In the Flesh was one of my favorites. It was from the movie that I saw that. I heard it on the album, but I didn't understand it into the context until I saw the movie, and then it was just like, wow, what kind of emotion is that? What kind of what is that?
And then my friend Tanya from episode 4 talked about, she chose Dark Side for a record to talk about, but we wound up talking about The Wall much, much longer, and like getting it on vinyl as a gift from her parents or something for Christmas.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
Opening it up. Have you ever looked at the?
No.
It's so you remember the like animated creature that like is the
mother?
wall.
The mother?
And like bends over, and there's
Oh, the judge. Is that what you're talking
could
about?
be either way. It's when you open it up, it's like just this creature showing you its butthole, or I mean,
Oh
yeah.
my!
not like
It's like this.
It's abstract, man.
It's
It's
not
very
like a chocolate
abstract.
starfish.
No.
it's very abstract.
Yeah.
And very like, I don't know what's more disturbing, the look on the character's face or the fact that the butthole is front and center. Oh God, I don't know what's going on. I thought the music was weird.
Those guys are all weird, man.
It's true, man.
Big Leap Forward, 1990. Holy Water.
Yes, man.
Bad
You
Company.
know that's right.
Thank you.
So, I gotta tell you, my first concert was Bad Company, Holy Water tour with Damn Yankees opening for them
No
at
joke.
Starlight. Damn Yankees was the Nuge, Ted Nugent.
Yeah.
And a guy from Styx. And it was a hodgepodge, blah, blah, blah. But I was jazzed as could be because, I've got all of the OG Bad Company, the Mick Ralph's Hardwired.
Paul
Rogers, that's right. And then this record comes out, and I'm like, I don't know how to feel. Is it Simon Kirk?
Brian
Howe. Brian Howe.
Yeah.
I don't know how to feel about this new, very Britisher voice being the lead. But I already really loved No Smoke Without a Fire.
Mm-hmm.
And then this comes out, and I'm like, that's also cool, but they're also sort of similar, those two tunes.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, I bought this and went and saw them, and your story with this album is what?
Well, this is the one my dad put down my throat pretty much. He'd
Oh,
play
yeah,
it
yeah,
all
yeah.
the time.
Yeah, that's right.
That one and Here Comes Trouble.
Okay.
That was a good one. And
Okay.
then the live, the live CD of that singer, Brian Howell,
Mm-hmm.
that one would be played all the time. And then Paul Rogers, actually, I got into later. I heard it on the radio, and I'm like, who is this? And he goes, this is Bad Company. And I'm like, but who's singing? And he looked at me, oh, the original singer, my dad was pretty direct.
Well,
how he said it.
Dad, it's not like a Bon Scott, Brian Johnson thing here. AC/DC, like, cut me a little slack.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Also, I'm 7.
Yeah.
It's true. But no, this thing, I brought it, like I said, the first grade show and tell. Played Holy Water. That the Stranger. I love that. If you needed somebody.
Uh-huh.
Come on.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Beautiful. And there's some pretty ripping guitar riffs in If You Needed Somebody.
Oh yeah, it's one of the best ballads, man.
Yeah.
I think from them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
My buddy Mike and I went to that show, and we had pretty good seats, and our ears rang for like 3 days.
Was that
It was
loud?
so freaking loud. Like,
Wow.
I don't know if there's now a thing where they're like, this is as loud as you, but it was so freaking loud. And there was we sat next to this pair of 2 dudes that were buddies that were there together, and one of them was like pretty chill, and the other one was like, he might have arrived to the venue sober, but I think he had one of each on him, and by halfway through the set he was doing something with a lighter and an inhaler. I was like, God,
Man.
are you doing that because you're mad because I won't take the drugs that you offered me, or that you're enjoying that? I don't know, but I wish I wasn't sitting next to you.
Yeah, can you and your buddy switch spots
Yeah,
or what?
exactly. But it was,
Was it a great concert?
it was. I bought the shirt, that is literally that album cover art on the front with the dates on the back, and
Man, how cool.
you're goddamn right. I put it on there and then wore it to school the next day.
You know it.
Going, what? Every time somebody spoke to me. But good stuff. All right. 40 Ounces to Freedom. Sublime. Still you. Man, you'll get a turn one of these days,
Well,
I
self-titled Sublime.
guess.
I
Okay.
feel like.
Well, okay.
I agree, but
All right.
this brought this up.
All right. I'm super glad you said that. Because it's been a while since I pulled that one out, but I'm pretty sure that I love that thing cover to cover, top
How
to
can
back.
you not? How can you not?
When this hit the list, I was like, this is perfect. I've been meaning to revisit this record for 100 years. So here we go. And I put it on, and I was like, this is kind of a dog compared to self-titled. No offense.
I hear you on the mainstream thing. It does. It has the production of the self-titled album is intensely good. This is raw for me.
It is very raw. Yes.
And that's why I think I liked it a little more. It was, during high school, I was 15 when I heard this, and so it shaped my whole,
I smoked 2 joints before I smoked 2
You
joints.
know what I mean?
And I
Yeah.
smoked 2 more.
And
There's some good stuff
Yeah,
on
yeah,
there.
yeah.
I gotta say.
Absolutely.
It's so good. I mean, come on, man. Let's Go Get Stoned, Bad Fish.
Yeah.
Those are 2 of my Scarlet Begonias.
Okay.
DJs.
Scarlet
Chico Mi
Begonias, a mad shout out to Sublime for covering Scarlet Begonia, which is a Grateful Dead song.
Tipo. Is it really?
Yeah.
I had no clue.
Yeah. In fact, they have a number of songs that came to be known as part of like a dyad or a triad, like Franklin's Tower. Franklin's Tower, Help Is on the Way, Slipknot would often get played. They would run into each other in shows. So it becomes known as like Franklin Help Slip, China Cat, Sunflower, I Know Your Rider becomes China Rider. They had a very interesting studio-wise late 70s disco funk vibe happening for a couple of records. Scarlet Begonias definitely one, and then another called Fire on the Mountain, which is real funky, and those often would get played back to back, and it became known as Scarlet Fire.
Okay.
But I had totally forgotten that they had covered this. I was like, fuck yeah, nice.
I gotta hear the actual original version now.
I mean, it's so dope.
Is it really?
Like, no disrespect, it makes their version sound like dog shit.
Man.
Because they are, I mean, the Dead, same with Pink Floyd, their mid to late 60s stuff, which is when they start, is real kind of like roughneck, bluesy, just not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
70s, especially like 72, 73, and then again 77, 78, they were just killing it. So the fact that they recorded a record with a lot of funk to it, late 70s, while that's what their flavor looked like live, makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I can't even, like, the opening note of it's like got this crisp wah to it that's kind of the wave of the whole song, and it's kind of got a reggae. You got to check it out.
That's cool.
Definitely.
Dang, that's cool.
But you heard it at 15, and who put it on for you?
My best friend I met at that time. So like, we hit it off, man. And this dude like spent my whole high school years with, and he showed me this. He's like, "You never heard this?" He's like, "Here, hold on. Check this out." Passes it, and I was just like, it changed my life. Whole nother world. And I was like, well, what else is on here? I mean, he went through the whole thing. We got the date rape. We've got to... Goodness, man. Waiting for My Ruka was... I mean, it was so creative.
You're in the old world of you're making a record and giving it to a label, and they're going to put it out. If you have a track called Date Rape on there today, they're going to be like,
right.
Figure something else out for that.
Not.
That's
but
not...
I mean, that's the thing is with that song, it was cool what they did with that song. They were telling the story of someone who did it, and they were not condoning it. They were condemning it, which is great.
Yeah.
But I hear you. It would be one of those things that if it was turned in today, someone would find a problem with it.
Oh my God.
And then they would put Cardi B WAP out there. Right. You know what I mean? It's like,
that's fine.
dude.
That's the truth.
Nice. Okay. Next up, Offspring.
Oh God.
Smash. Is that you?
Heck, you wish it was me. I let him do all of them. You know what I mean?
No.
I'm just kidding.
Oh my
he
God.
did not. No.
But the camera is off though. I'm just kidding again. Huh?
You go wait in the car. For
I'm
the
gonna
rest
go
of
wait.
this.
Yeah.
God damn it.
This is a great album. Great album.
Tell me about it.
4th grade, on the bus. I remember the first time I heard it, Self-Esteem. This kid, 4th grader, same, had it on his Walkman. He's like, "Here, have you heard this?" I'm like, "No, heard it." Again.
On his Walkman.
On his Walkman. Well,
What year are you in 4th grade?
it was 94. So it was like,
Okay.
not
Okay.
a I can't
Sure.
remember if it was a tape or if it was a CD.
Well, if it was a Walkman, it was a tape, and if it was a CD, it was a Discman.
Okay, so it was a
It was
Walkman.
probably still a Walkman.
It was a Walkman.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I heard it, and then I went out and bought the tape.
Nice.
Yeah, man. Self-Esteem, that was one of the best ones on here. I think that, like, the only other ones, like, this is one of them that I actually started picking off what I liked and not listening to all of it. And I don't know why this one, but it just, I think, is because the other stuff, to me, was a little bit fast-paced. It can get a little bit fast-paced.
For sure.
For me, I like the commercial sound of Self-Esteem, the commercial sound
Okay.
of, you got to keep them separated, whatever that song is.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stuff like this.
Everyone
Yeah.
loved that. I was gonna say probably because the rest of them were not quite listenable.
Yeah, well, right.
What?
Yeah, well, they're listenable, but it's not listenable in a way that was like, I like this. I could keep listening to it over and over.
I mean, I
was
think
like that.
I think that in that lane that they live in, like, it can be. I think it can be easy to dip your toes in the redundancy waters.
Yeah.
Because just systemically, you're doing power chords and you're writing 2-minute, 40-second songs.
Yeah, but think about Green Day.
It's true.
I mean,
same feeling for Green Day.
So Dookie's made several lists. My sister had Dookie and Kerplunk, which I was already a giant music snob by that time, and I was like, "What are you doing?
Yeah,
what is this fucking dog shit?" But I felt that way about punk in general for a long time. Not so much anymore. Not so much anymore. Now I am pretty particular when it comes to punk that I like, and a lot of it I'm pretty dismissive of. But so the first time a Green Day record made somebody's list, I felt really bad about having those feelings because I learned that a lot of people, artists in the punk circle were like, screw you guys, Green Day, for blowing the thing up and making punk mainstream. And I was like, isn't that what everybody wants, though? I mean, artist-wise, everybody wants their stuff to be successful, to be heard, to be liked.
Yeah.
And then within that, punk is, F the man, screw the system, rebel, but also we love doing this. It would be awesome to make a living out of doing this. And Green Day made it happen and brought a lot of punk to the light, that was always, and I know it's cool and punk as fuck to be underground and whatever, but that doesn't, if you want to be in a band and pay your bills that way, underground isn't going to put meals on the table.
Yeah.
So it's like, and somebody, I forget who, when I was reading, like actually called out what bullshit it was to give them hate. Because this is what we're all we're artists. We're trying to make a living and we take this seriously. And because they sold some records and had some fame and made some money and brought punk into a new level, you're going to hate on them?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, Green Day's all right.
Yeah, I mean...
But I'm not personally going to go put on Dookie.
Okay, well then let's say AC/DC then.
Yeah.
They have the same 3 fucking chords as these guys got, and their music is timeless.
It's
I mean, it's 3 chords, but it's great.
Yeah.
Do you know the tune "Ride On"?
I do not.
Okay, it is on Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap, but it's also on the
Dirty Deeds Done Next Week.
But it's also on the Who Made Who? Is that right? Was Who Made Who the one that was a compilation?
I'm not an expert.
Anyway, it's a blues number.
Okay, cool.
I mean,
that's good.
We're talking.
Dang. Okay.
And
okay, cool.
And the texture and layer of the vocals
kills.
Absolutely. You gotta go listen to Ride On.
Okay.
And it's Bon is just, it's all ripe and perfect.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah. See. Yeah. Okay.
Now most of their tunes are what you said, but I don't know. I still love them.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
I don't know.
It was just something the way they did those 3 chords. Same with Green
I mean,
Day
if you record a music video jamming on the back of a flatbed while somebody plays a bagpipe solo, I think you just get to be loved.
That's true. You can do whatever you want. That's a good point. Yeah, that's fair.
All right, Dave Matthews Band, Crash.
Can we do both? I mean, it's mostly his, but honestly, their drummer. I was inspired by drummers coming up pretty much.
Okay.
And I'm noticing too, as all these things go along, and Alice in Chains and different Offspring, for example, like, I guess my tastes were more on the polished end compared to like the rough or like grime or grunge.
Well, the raw stuff.
Raw,
man.
yeah.
Yeah. The
40 Ounce to Freedom compared to the self-titled stuff like this. Same band, but
Yeah.
Anyways,
This was polished. This was
it's great.
Very
Yeah.
polished. Very polished.
I
Now,
love that stuff.
So my bag is Fish.
Mhm.
82 shows. My kids are named after them. They've probably got 15.
You've been to 82 of their
Wow,
shows?
man.
Probably got 15 shows combined in between in utero and outside the womb. Trey and Dave are pretty tight. They have gigged together pretty every once in a while. There's a recent, and it's on YouTube. Trey makes an appearance at a Dave show for Lie in Our Graves, and just absolutely kills the guitar solo, and not a ton of notes. I mean, he has moments, but I mean, it pans. There's a key player. There's two horn players. There's Dave, of course. Anytime they panned, not anytime, but across this 6-minute, 50-second version, you definitely get smiles on the faces of each of the musicians because they're doing something that they don't normally do. Carter, I can't believe his face doesn't explode because his smile is so big the whole time. He is loving it so much. And when the solo hits an Acme, he turns and faces Carter, and they break it down, and he takes one of his sticks and points it at him, and then and then stands.
Dude is so
and
good.
does it again, pointing at Trey, being like, he is the man. It's so good. It's so good. Anyway.
Masters of their craft.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Carter's the reason why I love that.
Victor
Carter Beauford for president. I mean,
Absolutely.
But talk to me about Crash.
So this is one of the ones I picked out of my dad's CD stash and played, and
Just randomly?
well, not random.
Okay.
So I did hear So Much to Say on MTV.
Okay.
And that was that song still is one of my favorite songs like in the world. And so I would listen to this whole thing, and I've never heard anything like it. The way Carter plays, the way Victor plays, the way Dave does. I mean, it was just so masterful in a way I've never heard. And so I studied it for a long time.
Oh, wow.
And, just listened and studied and, just took it in. It was a great record.
Very cool. I love that record.
It's
One of my sisters did episode 15. She had this on her list. And I couldn't tell you the last time I had pulled it out. And I put it on. I was like, God damn. Like, I think all but 2 tracks I absolutely loved.
Yeah.
And it made me want to go back and listen to Under the Table and Dreaming, which I did, which was fine. It wasn't that.
This one.
So good.
Great record.
Uh-huh.
Great record. All right. I think this is Tool, Enema.
Oh, my God.
Still you? You guys.
I don't even know what was even on the list, honestly. No clue, honestly.
I wrote all of yours on the
We were
list.
just sitting there like, dude, how are we going to come to 5? Let's just, put a whole bunch of them and let him, see, and then we'll just, talk as we
Well, so
go.
I definitely, that was articulated, and I took that, and I looked at the list, and I go, there's just not a way for me to pick 5 or 8
That's
or whatever.
why we sent you so many, because we couldn't either.
Well, and if I would, whatever, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't bother me.
And we're moving through them quicker than we otherwise would, but it's fine, right?
Dude,
it's all fine.
It's all good. It's for the people, so
This
that's all
has
that
been
matters.
episode 24. Eric Barkley had, I think he had this and 10,000 Days
Great record.
on his list.
Great record.
Both of which I was like, this is not, because, okay, here's the silly thing about being on my end. I can't make it through every track on every album on a 5-album list, let alone one of this size. But so there's that. And then I also say 1 listen earns you nothing. 2 listens all the way through earns you an opinion, but it's not until that 3rd listen that you earn the privilege of sharing that opinion.
Dang.
So that's where I live. But for this, I'm one listen and I'm multitasking and distracted. And so I'm very much contradicting myself. But when I listened to those two Tool records, I was like, I think I would need 13 listens to each to really, and put my phone in a hole in the yard and cut the parenting responsibilities. Somebody watch my dog because it's too much. There's in a good way.
Yeah.
Like nobody has ever layered and textured and had chops and had the precision.
Absolutely. These guys, for some reason, I don't know why I draw a parallel, but these guys remind me of a modern Pink Floyd.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know why. It just always hit me that way. And so, like, when I'm listening to it, especially this one, oh my gosh. You listen to Stinkfist, right? And you're on to the next. Eulogy is an 8-minute song. You're listening to that. It is everything from... I think that's why it reminded me of it, because Pink Floyd would go right into the next. Similar with Tool. It would do the same thing in some cases. And 46 and 2, I've never heard a bass line or a guitar line like that. I've never heard anything like that. And so when I was playing guitar, this was my favorite band, definitely, because it challenged me in a different way that no one's ever played before. And of course, Maynard, he's a genius. When I first heard this, I was young, so all I heard was, you know what I mean? And I loved it. Don't get me wrong, but I was listening to all the other elements that made it for me. And then him coming out and giving that energy he does when, he'd go from the filter all the way to the, to the open voice. It was just so powerful, And so for me, this album took me to Undertow, which took me to, all the other albums that they put out, and I've followed everyone since. But it's like that. It's like this band was so magnanimous, I couldn't put words on it.
Yeah. Speaking of Undertow, I'm assuming you've seen the video for Sober.
Yeah. Oh, what a creepy thing.
So disturbing. 35 years later, I'm still going like, ugh. I want to make sure the doors are locked and shut the blinds.
No,
and he's kind of like a little bit back from the mic. And then you kind of got this guitar shrill squeal thing happening.
And it was so intense. The way they did that claymation was intense.
And the fact that it got, that was a pivot in my mind, that it got that track got a lot of radio play.
Yeah.
And it was like, wow, we're doing heavy stuff. And like, okay, cool. Very fascinating.
Oh, yeah. It to me, like, I remember Undertow would have this was the creepy thing for me when I was listening to it. Like, I would just fall asleep.
Oh.
And don't do that to an album, man. Yeah. All of a sudden you hear alarming, and it wakes you in. What's going on? It's a secret song. It's song 100 and something,
Yeah.
And man, yeah.
Have you ever
crazy stuff? Like,
genuinely been doom scrolling so long that you, oh fuck, and you like look up and you're just totally checked out of reality for half a second.
Yeah.
And you're like, I hope nobody saw that. That was really bad. My neck's a little sore from looking down.
Yep.
That's like listening to a record like this where it ends and you're like, are we still doing the same life?
Definitely.
Okay. All right. So I still have to go to work tomorrow. All right.
It's the far out abstract stuff, I guess, now that I'm going through these things, a lot of it, that I like. I guess that's the creative depth, I call it now, I guess. It's a new thing. It truly is. There's a depth to all these things that, you know what I mean? It's just, you can't explain.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
You got to get in there, man.
Oh, definitely. Oh, yeah.
I guess I would say, like, I'm like the mullet of music listeners in that case, because, like, you know what I mean? You're abstract, but I'm like, like clean and business, but like I like to have a good time too.
That's right. That's true.
Like,
that's very true.
That just came to me. Like, I
love it. I love
1,000% stealing that and not giving it.
That's fine. That's cool. That's the first.
I'm kind of like the mullet of the.
That's what I feel like. It's
life is peachy.
That's both.
Hey, all right, that's a step in the right direction.
That's right.
Korn.
Hey, dude.
Talk to me.
You go, buddy. I've been telling all of these.
I like music. Your turn.
I like Jonathan Davis. Your turn.
Oh, you would like boys. Anyway, I'm just kidding. No, dude, the first time I heard this album, it was like Korn. I mean, Korn. You never heard music like Korn before.
Where roughly? I know 1 and
Elementary school.
2 in their library. Is this 3, 4?
I think this is the second one.
Is it the second?
I think Blind was 1, and this is the second.
I think this is second.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's see if I would have.
I think
properly
second,
budgeted
maybe
time to
third, but I
find
think
that.
only second. Like,
Okay,
I think
okay.
only second too.
All right. So the first time you heard it,
Dude, elementary school. I remember I had this little Sony like boombox with a CD player on top that you push the button and it.
I remember
Of
those.
course.
They were sleek looking back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, they were so cool. Had the bass boost on it, you know.
oh yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. And then I heard this. I don't remember how I got it. I think like a friend's older brother or something like this
Okay.
because I couldn't, you know, I was young. And my parents
We
definitely
didn't,
wouldn't.
we
let me
didn't have
listen.
that in Farmington.
No, absolutely not. I was in Las Cruces at
Las
this
Cruces,
point.
my bad, my bad. Just
yeah.
getting back from Truth or Consequences.
Oh my dude, it's terrible down there.
I tell you what, I don't care for Farmington too terribly much, but I love New Mexico except for Albuquerque. I think that is a shit city.
It's pretty. It's
and every
bad.
time I go there, I'm like, you know, the airport's nice. I'm like, it doesn't feel like Albuquerque in here.
Yeah.
Then I step outside, I'm like, oh yeah, we're still.
Yeah, it's
still
kind of
there.
like Las Vegas where you're like kind of like out of it.
Yeah.
And then, like right when you get out of the airport, it's like, oh dude.
Yeah.
You right out the gate, it's like, oh yeah, yeah.
Anywho.
Yeah. Is our trip done or? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, but dude, you first hear Korn, like I'd never heard something like
Twist,
that, and then
yeah.
you hear Twist. Yeah, Twist is the first song, and it's like, oh my gosh, I need more of this.
Yeah, way to kick off an album.
Dude, and of course I played drums, and these drums were just like, I didn't know how to even comprehend this music. The guitars were so heavy, the drums were like the heaviest thing I'd ever heard, and like killed for me.
Nice.
This one, didn't this one also have a hidden song on it, or was that?
Yeah, I think so. What's the last track called?
Kill Him. Kill
Yes.
You. Sorry.
Yes. How long is it?
8:37. Yeah, that's true. It probably
and
had like a 5-minute like
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah. You'll see.
Yeah.
There
Yeah,
it
you-
is. All right.
You mentioned dead or like secret tracks or whatever.
Yep.
Like they were doing them back then.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Yeah, they
It
were.
was
Oh yeah.
pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Lowrider, I gotta say I love Lowrider.
Third Eye Blind,
me.
self-titled.
You know that's me.
Hey.
You know that's
All
me.
right.
Can I put that in that stack anyways,
Yeah,
just
dude.
because, you know? Dude, you know Semi-Charmed Life, of course, had, like,
So good of a song.
it was so timeless. Just the melodies on that song for me. And, of course, the drums, the snare drum sound on that album, or that song,
Man.
was like, is like the Nirvana, you know?
Eric Valentine's the engineer who did that.
It's
And,
true.
he's-
Fascinating that you know that.
He is an amazing
We didn't learn that
engineer.
till later.
Green
Okay.
Day as well.
Okay. Okay.
Yep. And man, yeah, he's one of my
Weezer, like, he did, like, so many
Yeah.
Smash Mouth, like, he was, like, a king.
one of my favorites, man, for sure.
Nice.
He's a guy that like he gets so into what he does that, you know, if you watch his series
Making
on
Records.
YouTube, Making Records with Eric Valentine, he's so particular about what he does, and that's the greatness in him, you know. And so it's quite a guy to learn from,
Cool.
for sure.
I've said this a bunch of times on here before, but you know, one of the reasons for doing this is there are a number of reasons, but one of them is to celebrate the album and what is the desire and the energy in the old school get discovered. Playing a gig, and the labels used to send dudes around.
Oh, yeah.
Fly to Kansas, go see live music at these, you know. And if you hear something that catches your eye, let's talk about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you get discovered, you get signed, pony up some money to go in the studio and record a record, and 1,000 fights happen. You know, between dude that can't get there on time, dude that's hungover, dude that brings his girlfriend and she's causes problems, and
Dude that can't play his parts right.
Yeah,
Only
'cause he's
Corgan
on
has to come
cocaine.
re-record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
arguments over song titles and the tracks that are going to make the record, and what's the artwork, the cover art going to look like. And at the end of the day, okay, world, here's the thing that I made. Hope you like it.
Dude.
And so I, spending money before I had it, go and get cassettes and get that plastic off. And then
that was the best
Yeah.
and worst because it was a pain in the to get it off.
and then the actual paper that the
notes and stuff.
smell has a good smell to it.
It did, yeah.
And just devour the liner notes. And I always I want to know everybody's name and what they play and who featured and if the lyrics are included, great. And then over here it's like mix, engineer, and master and produced by, and I'm like, who is this for? What nerd? Now, later in life, I'm like, that's where I'm going first.
You bring up a good point. A lot of that I was the same way. He was the same way. We grew up not knowing about these people.
That's true.
Yeah.
And especially being me from Kansas, not many people, that wasn't, you grew up, if you're going to get a job in music, it was going to be a teacher or it was going to be something like this. I never heard of any other job besides that and a rock star.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's kind of crazy that
all the way down to like, this is recorded in Hollywood. I thought these guys were from Jersey. What are they doing over there? It's far away.
Yeah.
Just recorded in Jersey.
It's true, but when you find out about that side of things, you realize just how much of an impact those people have on the album.
Yeah.
The
Oh my God.
producers, the
Oh my God.
engineers.
Yeah.
They essentially capture them. They essentially do all of that, and then they make it a record to give you goosebumps. They do that. Then they master all of this, and it was like, what? How much goes into music, man? That was a whole other.
How
thing.
much goes into hundreds of turns per knob?
All that.
make sure
Dude,
that
the
thing-
first night we were laying on our backs in the floor, wanting to quit life. It's like,
true. We're gone.
It was so bad.
It was torture. It was literal torture.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
It was good though.
You know that's mine.
Blink 182.
You know it's mine. You know it's mine. Drums again, Travis Barker, man. But like just their vibe of these guys. Like,
What is the name of this one?
This one was Enema of the
Enema
State.
of the State. That's
Yeah,
right. That's right.
This one was Enema of the State, and it had like all the small things was like the big song, but like Travis played drums different, and so like all their stuff was cool to me.
Now, having never really spent much time listening to them, I have, before this even, come to the conclusion that there have been some folks that, not to go all the way to the level of, God, what is the band that everybody trashes? Nickelback.
I was gonna say that, but
Not to go to the extreme of Nickelback, but there have been some folks, in my experience, that use Blink 182 as a whipping boy, but there's also a healthy pocket of people that have mad respect for them. Weird dichotomy. Is that the right word? I think it is.
I think so.
Can you speak to both sides of that, or one?
I mean, I guess to an extent, yeah. I think it's the same thing that we talked about with the Green Day thing earlier. Like, it's like relatively basic music for the most part. It's 3 chords, it's power chords, it's really simple stuff. The melodies are pretty simple, but it's catchy. It's like really, it's like pop presented in a different way. So the people, in my opinion, that don't like it say it's basic and it shouldn't be popular because it's basic. It's so simple or whatever. The people that like it is like it's like profound because it's simple but great at the same time.
Right.
AC/DC again.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of thing, just a different. It's polished punk, and I think when they came out, this is just speculation, but it seems like when they came out, and Green Day and all that stuff came out, it's like punk was punk, and like, what is this? This sounds like pretty punk. So then you're a sellout, and then you sell lots of music, but you're still punk to some people, but you're a sellout to other people, and then maybe that's the
Haters gonna hate.
They did it different.
Yeah.
They were really polished. Again, it's
Yeah.
like the polished sound. It's easy music, but like really polished, and
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. And the drums were different. He plays drums different. Like he could have just played the same thing as everybody else did, but he did it different. Travis, to me.
Nice.
So that's
Good
my
stuff.
take, I guess, on that.
Okay.
That's both.
This surprised me. Limp Bizkit.
How?
Oh, that's both of us.
Significant other. I mean, in that, okay, so if this is the side, we're trashing Blink 182, and we're here, we're praising them, and it's equal. I feel like Limp Bizkit got a lot of hate over
They did.
a lot of years, and it was like, is it because, again, from the outside looking in, is it because Fred Durst looks like a fucking tool and kind of maybe acts like
He
one
is
too?
a tool.
Okay. So,
but the music
true.
was cutting edge.
It's
the music
true.
Was,
well,
they started
dude, the
out as a
features
joke.
on this.
Yeah.
I didn't even know
Yeah.
the features on. I just know the songs.
No,
you know?
they had DMX on there.
Dude, they had a
That's right.
Wu-Tang.
Yeah, it was really good, man. Really good.
I didn't even remember because like I've never really known song like titles and like
Man.
information, but I know like if it came out of me, oh yeah, dude, you know what I mean?
It
All
was,
right.
it was.
Okay, Scott Weiland
Yeah, Scott.
is on a track. Let's see here. Method Man. That might be it. Jonathan Davis, I'm not sure who that is.
Korn's lead singer.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I knew that. I knew it was familiar for some reason. And Hidden Track, another hidden track.
It was the time for him
That's
back
right,
then,
that's
because this
right.
was around the same time as Life is Peachy. I think maybe a couple of years.
I mean, I feel
later,
like
but
the Fred Durst as a Tool seed had sprouted, and maybe somebody had watered it a little bit, and then Eminem.
just destroyed him.
Yeah.
I was like, that guy just. Are we making his tombstone right now? Because I think he's.
Imagine if social media, like that was like pre-social media,
Right?
and he still like just
Oh.
destroyed his life and career almost. I mean,
with
like,
one line.
yeah.
Oh.
But Fred Durst still was getting the nookie. I'm just saying.
Yeah, of course he was. His backwards ball cap and his oversized white tee.
Yeah, dude.
That's
What's
awesome.
this?
So,
Yeah.
but musically, spoke to you, obviously.
Dude. Man, because like the DJ thing,
Yes.
plus like
Yes.
heavy drums, Nookie
Oh.
was like it was like hard plus like rapish or something different.
It was so, yeah.
Oh
for
yeah,
me, too.
absolutely, absolutely.
So cool.
Nice.
It was unique.
What do we got left?
Who knows?
Sevendust.
You can quit if you want.
Oh,
at this
man, that's
point.
me.
That's
Yeah.
you. We're close. We're close.
Oh.
This was no awareness whatsoever for me prior to seeing this and
So
checking
the
it
whole
out.
band?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dang, that's
Oh,
amazing.
man.
That's cool.
They were, for me, like I like a lot of the stuff, that the hard stuff. I like the singing and the hard stuff. So I mean, new metal, stuff like this. This to me was hard, and the guy could sing amazingly, but it was hard in a different way, and I've never heard anything like it again, like all these other ones. But when it comes down to it, I feel like this album made more of an impact on me than Life is Peachy, because this got me ready for Life is Peachy. I
What?
heard it beforehand.
How is that even possible?
Well, that's the time it came.
Dang.
The time it came. And no, I heard this, and I heard Denial and Waffle, and I was, like, oh man, this is great. I can listen to this. It felt right, because I'm not screaming. I didn't get into it until later, right? And so this album definitely started up my hard rock, hard rock,
Cool.
And so yeah, man. I'd say those two were my favorites. A lot of people's favorites. I know that.
How many roughly other records have they put out?
So they put out. There's one after that. It was, I can't remember the freaking name.
I'm just looking like.
They've done a lot.
7
They've
to
done
10.
a lot
Okay,
of
7 to
albums.
10 probably at least.
There was just a couple that I liked, but yeah,
Sure.
a good amount of albums.
Sure. This next one, I was very pleased that it made a list, and it's Dr. Dre's.
It
That's
hasn't
both
been
of
on
us,
a
too.
list
Yeah.
before? On the whole
It
podcast?
has
The Chronic.
Okay, good.
Wow,
one list, and
so good of an album, man.
it and here's why I'm happy that it made your list, because when it came out, I was like, this might be, and I don't know all of the rap, but this might be the best rap album that's ever been recorded to date. And
That might still
it was
be true.
around in pockets of conversation, and then fast forward to something like this where I'm trying to talk to people about favorite records. Everybody, Chronic, and it brought me back to when this came out, where I was like, this is 1,000 times better than the Chronic. And every
Dude,
time
yeah.
in my life that I've said that to somebody, they go, "You're insane."
Are you
Seriously?
serious?
Swear to God.
Wow.
I don't know. I can't believe that. That's like, I was here before he got popular, so this one's got to be the best. But, dude, name one song that gets played off of the Chronic at
There's-
every freaking stadium, on every movie, on
There's
every.
3 big hits on that record.
But this is on every.
Every song, pretty
You know,
much.
like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, a good amount.
Well,
I hear you on that, but-
Chronic did give us Snoop. It did give us, not the first, but it really kind of elevated the notion of skits and interludes. And I mean, I don't think there's ever been a funnier sequence of words than Bootney Lee Farnsworth from the $20 sack pyramid.
That's true. That's true.
Bitches, I want to fuck. Things be saying it. I mean,
That's true. The skits.
100%.
That's true.
that now, the skits can also be a bit much. Like there's one, I think, on the Chronic called "The Doctor's Office," or maybe that's on.
I think that's on the other one. I think that's on the other one.
Where
but
it's just
still.
like, okie dokie, like holy cow, guys.
We've talked about that. Like, do you think they were actually recording what was going on, or do you think it was like an actual skit? You know what I mean? Like,
I mean,
back in those days.
It's interesting to think about.
for sure.
Yeah.
And then so the Tabby J, all the way back to episode 47, had this on her list, and she is
Shout out Tabby.
She is a we at one time were colleagues, and she was a very very impressive person in all of the ways. Like had 8 or 9 different roles with the company and killed at all of them. Very easy on the eyes, very fit, seemingly like, all of she and her husband's life outside of work is, we're traveling and we're playing sports and we're just killing it in all the ways.
Yeah.
And she gives me her list and this is on it. And I was like, how am I going to say, hopefully we can hook up later and exchange some fuck faces? How are we going to talk about that song while you're over here? I mean,
On a microphone, probably.
yeah, exactly. And, she was like, I know, right? It just, no big deal.
That's
But I
cool.
mean,
That's pretty funny.
so like you get the Doctor's Office from the Chronic, and then on this one you get the no loving and squeezing girl because you got a husband. And it's just like, oh.
There was some pretty strong lines on there.
It was.
Anyway, but then you have like what are the last 2 tracks?
Oh, we got
The Message, Outro, and Bang Bang.
Yep.
Bang Bang, and then the Message. Not hits,
dude.
not hits, but beautiful
Still great
songs.
pieces. Yeah.
And even though the bang 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 gets a little redundant, it's saying you can't turn away from gun violence and people getting shot. And the message, I think, speaks to the loss of life too soon. So I don't know.
That was
Definitely.
seemed like a lot of it back then. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, not that it's not now, but like especially in the rap and stuff. Like,
Yeah. Have you
And
seen the clip with Scott Storch? What is that guy's name?
yeah, Scott Storch.
Scott. So he's been brought to the studio to like tinker around for this session. You know this story?
He was the keys, dude.
He was the keys dude, and Dre was trying to get him to come up with the what is it? Is it Forgot About Dre? With the ding ding ding
Oh,
ding.
that's
What's your
no,
your-
that's
The next episode?
yeah, next
Yes,
episode.
next-
Yeah,
so-
dang,
so-
I don't know how I could.
Sandwiches are either have been arrived via delivery or he's on his way to go, whatever, and he walks past the room that Scott's in as he's doing that, and he stops and he goes, that right there, and that's where
That's
where
crazy.
yeah, just
That's crazy.
he's just in there fucking around and that boom everywhere.
That's great. It's great. I mean, it's it's great.
Yeah. All right. Disturbed.
The Sickness?
Yes.
That's me.
This is. I mean, is that Anakin Skywalker moments before he dies?
Looks just like him.
I mean,
It does.
it's so disturbing.
I think that's like a foreskin.
Ooh. I'd much rather prefer it be.
Anakin.
Anakin.
I mean, hey, nobody complained on Nirvana, so
A baby's penis in the pool.
yeah.
It's not quite the same thing as just foreskin.
I mean, that's a
Agreed.
disgusting looking album cover. I gotta.
That one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It's weird. Disturbing, I should
I
say.
mean, when I pulled it up, I was like, ugh. And then when I pulled it off the printer, I was like, ugh.
Have you heard? You've heard those? You've heard them, haven't you?
I
Or
mean,
have
I've
you
heard
not?
of them. I don't think I've sat down and listened to Disturbed prior to
Well,
this.
listen to that album.
Vocalist,
If you do.
vocalist is amazing. This stuff right here, I've never heard harder. Well, in their way, harder stuff before I heard this album. Ninth grade again, and so, yeah, when Stupefy came out, that was it. I started. At that point, I was singing. I've been singing all my life, off and on, and I really wanted to get into singing. And these guys, David Draymond, Jonathan Davis, Elaine Staley, Scott Weiland, all these guys had different sounds, yet I tried to emulate them, to get my voice growing, young and whatever. But like this album specifically would just have me, man, I'd be driving and I'd be just, pumped listening to this stuff and singing it, and it would just be like, oh, and then I'd get done and I'd be like, okay, people are watching, type thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'd lose myself totally in it. And yeah, this album for me was, goodness, just like so many others. One of a kind, awesome, changed my world.
I love it.
New, fresh.
Yes,
Nice.
absolutely.
I gotta say, we're a little different too, because like the engineer / producer who did that is the same guy who's done some of the other stuff.
Andy
Just
Wallace,
like
or who did it?
that was Neil Avron
Was it really?
on their early stuff,
Okay.
and he's the same dude who did Yellow Card, which Yellow Card is like a huge influence for me. I'm the more I kind of find out about this stuff, I find like the people behind the scenes is as much as that I like as the actual bands, because I find consistencies like this band or this band or this band work with this guy, and I like all those bands, and
Yeah.
that was interesting.
Yeah, it's just in the Fish world, they had Steve Lillywhite produce their '96 record called Billy Breathes, and then I think this is correct, and then a number of years later had him, and it's like, oh, the tone is, you can tell, like I had this feeling before I knew that information, and I didn't know what it was. It was just sort of like a shoe in the dryer. What is that?
Yeah,
Kicking around back there. And then they put out a record called Fuego in 2014, and it closes with a tune called Wingsuit. And it's a very chill song, but late it has this sort of soaring, mellow but intense guitar solo, and I'm like, what is that? And then by happenstance, I come across the producer is a dude that produced a ton of Pink Floyd records, and it's like, oh, it's Comfortably Numb vibes. That's what it is. But I could never
that's cool.
scratch that itch until it's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going insane because I don't know what to call this. And it's like, oh, producers and they all have like personality and persona and style and preference and
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
Definitely.
Morning View, Incubus. We're all the way into 2001 by now.
Jeez,
You?
That was me. Yeah.
Okay.
I couldn't tolerate those guys. Actually, I didn't mind.
Again, I mean, they're all different. All these bands are intensely different. And
Absolutely.
I think that's the whole thing, is that Incubus, I was on to the next creative thing that I've never heard before.
Yeah.
And Incubus for me was like everything. It was rap, it was rock, it was soft rock even. It was I don't know, just this stuff I've never heard, a genre, then Hoobastank came out. And I'm like, okay, they're a lot like Incubus. Okay, so this is a thing happening, And for me, Morning View was 10th grade, and that was, admittedly, I was doing some drugs at that point. So, me and my girlfriend would always listen to that during that. don't like admitting that. It's what it is, though. But the way that Just a Phase, it's not a known song, but Just a Phase, the way it would come on and the way that it would just kind of go would be just like, I don't know, it would take you to another world, you know. And then by the time it's over, the next one, they put it in such a way, they ordered it in such a way that the next song came on and it perfectly fit the resolution of
cool.
that last
Yeah.
song. But it didn't connect. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was just, very cool in that way. And that's what 11 a.m. Yeah. It's a great song. Nice to Know You. One of my favorite songs ever. I still practice singing to that song just for vocal warm-up. It's actually a great song to, you know, get from here to here and here to here. And, these guys, I gotta say, are probably my third favorite band.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything in particular for you about the closer on this one?
So, actually, I didn't listen to a lot of the end stuff.
Okay.
I don't remember this one.
Okay. I'd be curious if you give it a spin and tell me it didn't do anything for me, or if it did, what?
Okay. Cool. Okay.
This is one of those my same college buddy with the drum, the electronic drum. He's like, yeah, check out Enema. And I went, and I was a cassette holdout till real late. And I think this was the only one. And so I bought it, and I was like, I don't know what to do with this. Like, I don't even know if I got a full listen in that first time around, and revisited it. And it was like, okay, I kind of, but and then later I think he was like, don't start with that one. I was like, well, I did.
Thanks for the insight.
Yeah.
Did you ever like listening to them?
Yeah. I've liked, I don't remember sequence-wise. Where does this one fall in their catalog?
Okay, so I think Drive was the first one.
Okay.
Well, the first mainstream one.
Okay.
I think.
What followed?
And I think this was after.
Okay,
I think.
I feel like the third and the fourth were easier for me to get into than this was.
Okay.
I don't know. I'd have to go put them back on. Kill Switch Engage. Alive or Just Breathing?
You.
I mean, hey, I'll take it. I don't mind.
It was
mind
actually me, but
I don't mind.
Gotta
Kill
give it
Switch,
to you,
honestly,
buddy.
because Kill Switch worked with Adam D. I think he's their bass player. Was a producer for As They Lay Dying, as they kind of like came up, and so again, like, and I like those albums better than the earlier stuff too. So I don't mind Kill Switch. They have some cool stuff. Adam D's good at what he does, though.
Nice.
I gotta say.
Okay. You got anything to add?
So yeah, I mean, Army. Never heard anything quite like this. I never listened to heavy metal. I listened to Korn and to Sevendust and all this, but this was a totally different game. I got out of AIT and bought this CD and listened to it on the way home, and again, you know, changed my life. There was a great mix of hard rock with singing. And that to me was amazing because it would drop out of the breakdown stuff and you can get really heavy into it, and all of a sudden it would just open up. And that to me was like, oh wow, man, cool. You get to get a break, but it's not just a break, it pumps you up more for the next part.
Right.
You know. And so that was it for me. Number 4? It should be, yeah, My Last Serenade. That was my song. This CD followed this CD followed me to the army, to Germany. Again, a lot of drugs in in Germany. I was in the army at the same time. I did a lot of drugs, and they know it, so it is what it is. But yeah, you know, again, it's iconic. It's the only way I could put it.
Awesome.
Totally iconic, man.
Okay, we're down to the final two. Yellow card.
Neil Avron.
Just
there we go, buddy.
Same dude that did Disturbed.
Yep.
But these guys, the drummer, man.
Ocean
Also,
Avenue.
Yeah, this particular album. This first album, this is the first one they did with Capitol Records.
Oh.
It was their big first mainstream album.
Okay.
Look at that.
And
Morning view and yellow
bro,
card.
at
Hey,
least
look.
mine has a chick in it.
Well, it's cool though. It's like it's the view of the ocean.
It's true. Might have been
Awesome.
the same. Maybe those hills are like over here.
Maybe.
Yeah, dude. But again, the drums for me, the drummer, launch a new Parsons. This dude was like a jazz drummer, like so his stuff was different. It was like a little more sophisticated of the boop-pa, boop-pa, boop-pa type of stuff. But it was really cool. The fills, the way he did fills, the way his timing was and stuff. For me, it was really great. Plus, they have electric violin, and that was like pretty like. It was new to me at the time for sure.
Kind of like when Korn hit you over the head with the bagpipes.
Same type of
What's going on here?
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It was awesome. So yeah, so for me it's like the drums, the sound too. I mean, it was really good stuff. They were another kind of like Blink-182, kind of like polished, kind of pop punk type of
Who
thing.
mixed them? Was it Neil Aberon that mixed
I
them too?
don't
or
know.
just
He
produced?
might. I think he did like the producing, recording, and mixing. But
Really?
don't quote me on that. Don't quote
Amen.
me on that. But I think so. He wears a lot of hats.
Awesome.
But his stuff is fire.
Well, we bring it all home with an ocean between us. As I
Jeez.
lay dying.
Hakamar, this is 2007. Okay, that's pretty newish.
Yeah,
You know?
compared to
Adam D. No, this was one before Adam D came. But for me, song 2, Nothing Left, was like the drummer again, Jordan. He killed. Like I was in like metal bands for a while then, so like the double bass and all this stuff was cool, blast beats and all this stuff. And this dude, again, had style. He played like the metal drums, but like with style, not just like fast. It was like styling. And then like they had a really polished sound too, again, which again I guess is something I prefer. But they had a polished sound, and they had like technical, heavy kind of like music plus melodic type of guitars and very beautiful like sounds. Their sounds were really rich compared to a lot of the other stuff that was doing the same kind of music.
Sure.
So yeah, so for me, like, and this was to me this was like their best album.
Nice. They've, I can't recall which, but I'm pretty sure they've made one, if not 2 lists.
Dang.
And I always have to bring up William Faulkner.
The book, yeah.
Oh, you know?
Yeah,
Damn
yeah.
it.
Well, yeah, because when it was a cool thing back then, people talked about the names or like how you pick names, or like you like open the Bible and just go like here, or like pick a book. And
Yeah.
like, let's do that. I don't know. It was a thing,
Do you
it was a
know
thing back then.
much about Faulkner?
No, I know he made that book, and that's I don't even know
He
what the book's about.
wrote a lot of his stuff in a fictional county called like Yoknapatawpha County or something, but set in the South, Mississippi, Alabama, where stuff is real backwoods.
Yeah.
Like, not a lot of shoes being worn, and plenty of
Moonshine.
Well, the wheat
Oh,
stem coming out of
yeah.
the overalls, and that's on the light side of it. On the dark side of it's like, okie dokie, what is happening right now? As I Lay Dying is the first Faulkner book I ever read, and it tells the story of this woman dying. She's really old. It's not like, it's her time. But every chapter is a different point of view, different narrator, different person.
Of the same story.
Yes.
Wow.
Literally, As I Lay Dying.
So it's
Wow,
like, yeah. And it's,
Was it cool, or was it like...
fuck yeah, it's cool.
Dang,
it's so, everything he did is cool in my mind.
Okay.
Some of the darks, I mean, there's I think Sanctuary. There's a character named Popeye that appears in a couple of the books, and he's real backwoods, and I'm pretty sure there's like a corn cob RAPE scene,
Oh man.
like maybe with a young family member, and like,
Oh.
but it's not like
It's not too graphic.
no, you
Just-
read it and you're like, wait a minute, I'm not sure what happened there. Okay. Wait a minute, what? And you go and you're like, oh, like he had that kind of skill
Dang, that's
to talk about something so horrible, but it's the complete opposite of graphic.
Dang, that's cool.
but as I like, I'm pretty sure there's like a dude and a lady and a kid and maybe even somebody that's on the spectrum, and then the old woman Addie is her name that's dying herself, and so I mean the story is very fluid, right?
Dang.
It follows chronologically a timeline, but you're just getting it told
Different
in chunks by
perspectives.
different people.
Whoa, that's pretty cool, actually. That's
Yeah.
like actually really cool.
Yeah. And
Dang.
so that's why I was like, I will have all the Faulkner books and nobody will tell me otherwise.
You got to.
Just a style changed my life. Reading, like, I didn't know you could write like, I didn't know it was possible to tell a story that, like, the way that you use those words. I'd be here all night if you don't shut me up.
It. I was gonna say you do a podcast about music and albums, but like, what about books?
I would need to be a much more avid reader than I am.
Fair.
A lot of this is like, I'm gonna keep buying books and read them all, but I still have not read most of them.
Fair. I don't blame you on that. Plus, like people listen to music, but who reads books? I mean,
there are folks.
Yeah, there's a couple.
In fact, this dad-daughter float, sitting around Saturday night with a bunch of dads talking to one, and I'm like, "You're
Could
old."
You guys have beer or not?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. All the scout stuff, absolutely not. But this is like the one thing where everybody, it's tough to get your, like, everybody has to sign up for 2 shifts because there's a Friday dinner, Saturday breakfast, Saturday lunch, Saturday dinner, Sunday breakfast. And you're either prepping or cooking or doing
That's cool.
Dishes or s'mores. There's s'mores both nights. And I always like Friday dinner and Saturday breakfast, and then
You're done.
I'm off the hook. But that means that I got to keep myself in check Friday night. So that
you have to be up.
Get up or at 6 or whatever.
But then Saturday you can let loose.
Yeah. Well, yes. But so I'm sitting there talking to this one dad. Tell me about your girl, and she just was had this lead role in this play, and she's just a fascinating kid that has been in my daughter's grade for years, and I know very little about her. And he said something about her and the insane level to which she reads. And I was like, what are we talking? He's like, I mean, she's read 3 books since we left the house.
Wow.
And I was like, it's Saturday night. Like, people arrived at mid to late afternoon on Friday. He's like, yeah, she read a whole book. I mean, it's 4.5 hours away. She read a whole book on the drive down, and then a piece of, and I was just like, how many are we talking over a week or a month? Or he's like, no idea. There's a guy, Bill Brownlee. He did episode 136. He's a local music writer. He writes for There Stands the Glass is one of his pages, and then the other one's escaping me. Fantastic dude. He wrote. His first job was in a record warehouse, stocking the shelves. Dang. And he became. He got a promotion, so he's out of the warehouse, and then all of a sudden he's like, kind of running things, and then all of a sudden he's like a regional, like just a whole career working for a record label.
Wow.
And just being in music.
That's cool.
And then that career ended, and then he wrote for the Star for 15 years. I'm like, you've had both of my dream jobs. Like, fucking quit being so selfish. But and now he just writes for himself, and he still goes to lots of performances, and he'll put them on Instagram. But he's one of those dudes where it's like, As I Lay Dying was the 98th book I've read in 2025, and it's like, it's February 3rd. What are you talking? I'm just like,
man.
Yeah, like just hammering out books. Like the
Jeez.
readers are out there.
Yeah, no joke.
They're coming
dude.
for you.
Anyway, ChatGPT give me the clip notes.
Right? Yeah. No.
What?
No. There's something about I had. Let's Christy Hodgen. So I went to UMKC for grad school and got a MA in creative writing.
Dang,
And
awesome.
as I'm finishing their interviewing, and there was obviously the formal interview process, and then sort of an informal roundtable thing where grad students could come and sit and have conversation with candidates. And Christy was one of them, and she got hired. And Hadara Bar Nadaf was the other, whose informal interview I went to, that also got hired, which was really cool and exciting. But then I graduated, and so they start the next semester. It's like, well, it was cool to be a part of, but I won't ever be part of the active community fabric that you're teaching in because I'm done.
I see.
Nevertheless, I've bought a couple of her books, and I finished reading this one recently. It took me way longer than I'll ever admit. Super, super, super cool story. Dad comes home from the services as an amputee, and is, at his core, a writer looking to make it happen, to find that magic and get published and make that his career. And mom's waiting tables, just being supportive. And he's bottled all of the stuff from being in the services. Brother comes to live with them. It's her and her younger brother and the two parents, and then the brother comes to live. Kind of really brings him out of this funk, and there's energy and pop to the home's atmosphere again, until weeks become months, become many months, and mom is like, enough with the, you can't stay here forever. So brother leaves, and dad goes right back down, and they come home one day, and he's in his den, and just
true story.
I
Probably
kind of
is
think
somewhere,
so. Kind of think
probably.
so. Incredible story. There are so many passages. I should change this stubborn habit about myself. I don't write in my books. I definitely don't dog-ear pages. I could solve that problem by using these.
Our mentor Chuck did that.
What?
Post-it notes.
Post-it notes.
Mm-hmm.
So many passages where I was like, oh my God. Just that sequence of 13 words was, you just killed it. It was so good. I took no notes, and I reached out to her. I sat next to her friend or boyfriend or I don't know, at a comedy show at the Midland just like a year or so ago, and it was one of those moments where he leaned over to, I don't know, get his drink or something like that, and I looked over, and I was like, oh my god, I hadn't seen her since that interview thing. So when the show ended, I was like, is that Christy Hodgen? And he was like, yeah, it totally is. And I was like, I want to say something. I'm
dating her, dude.
Well, I wanted to say, tell her she wouldn't know me, right?
Yeah.
She wouldn't remember that, especially not the way that I do. But I finished reading that book, and I shot her an email message being like, will you...
Did you even talk to her that night?
No, which is fine. Let her do her life, and not some, hey, remember me, But I emailed her, and I said, hey, I'd love if you, and she didn't reply, which I thoroughly expected. And I was so grateful that she didn't, because that would have meant that I would have to reread the whole thing again and take notes to say,
Man.
here, look at these ways that you crushed. Because she might not even know. To her, it might be a bland old little sentence that the paragraph is doing all the heavy lifting. That sentence meant nothing. But to me, it's like, oh my God, your craft is just brilliant.
That's great.
So she never answered, thank God, because I don't know how it took me 100 years to read it the first time. Now I got to go through and, no, where was that one? And I would go crazy trying to. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
You could ask GPT what page it's on.
No. So quick series of goofy questions, and then we'll get you out of here.
Cool.
Okay? All right.
Can we give goofy answers? They got to be straight answers.
They got to be straight answers.
All right. Goofy questions, straight answers. All right,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I like you play hardball.
Can
we ask questions too, or no questions? They're only coming one way.
I mean, we'll see.
Okay,
We'll
see
see
how the night goes. All
All
right.
right. So, if we can pretend or imagine that we all have a personal and a professional bucket list.
Personal and professional?
Personal and professional. You're given all of the necessary resources to go hammer out your number one on both lists. What are those number ones?
Go ahead.
So that means you're first on the next one.
Okay. So I had to say my first for professional and first for personal.
Sometimes they're one and the same, right?
Okay.
It's true. Yeah.
I mean, dang, I'm not really like a bucket list type of dude. At the same time, like, I guess I would have to say, dang, all
Anything,
the resources.
man.
Dang,
Anything.
this is
Yeah.
like so.
There's no excuses possible.
Yeah.
You're given everything. All you got to do is go do it.
I mean, just pretty much like, dang, just to build a sustainable sync library or connections with these, which is what we're working on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Somebody like,
Freaking great start.
and because we've been working hard at it, but that to build something sustainable that can sustain, all of us as far as like the studio, give us time to handle our balances, our little 2-year-olds, all this stuff, and also give us enough time to kind of like give back to the community in a way that's meaningful. Continue to give back, but like in a different, more.
That
I
writer's room kind of sounded a little
Yeah,
bit
yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
We're developing this stuff, but have more time to think, so we're not so frantic, so that we can develop it in a way that's even more in-depthful and community, I guess.
Okay.
And so I guess that would kind of cover both the personal and professional, because if the professional goes in this particular way, then like he's saying with the quality time, we'll have the quality time and we'll have the resources to do whatever the desire is.
Very cool.
So is this a real thing or an abstract thing, or can it be either? What if this, or is it a goal oriented thing, or you see what I'm trying to
goal,
say?
accomplishment, dream.
Okay.
It's both. It's abstract,
Cool.
but it's not.
Gotcha.
So you're up.
Okay. For me, so I'm gonna go with all of that. That's the truth. At the same time, an abstract one that I would do, I would build a band with David Gilmour,
Ah,
Dang.
nice.
John Bonham if he was alive, and then let's say Victor Wooden as the bass player.
Nice.
And then, I would just be, let's just say in the backstage here. I mean, I would have
A triangle.
Lane Staley. Exactly. Lane Staley would be singing, and then the other singer probably would be, let's say, Roger Waters.
Wow.
I love his voice.
Okay.
I do love his voice.
You should go skating.
He's got this crazy voice. Yeah, man.
So
yeah.
what's your role in this?
My
Or
role
you're
is
like the band manager.
Hey, man, I'm playing triangle in the
Alright.
back. I don't
That's
know.
fair.
I mean,
He's got a triangle and a tambourine.
actually, in this,
And he's wearing a harmonica.
just in case. Just in
That's
case.
true.
You guys need to know?
No?
and the harmonica
not
player
on this
that's
one
there.
either?
Okay.
The harmonica player that's there is John Popper.
Oh,
That's
My
true. There has to be a
gosh.
harmonica player.
I met John.
No, you
No
didn't.
joke.
And
I actually helped him write.
What's the 6-string player's name?
I'm not sure.
Does
honestly.
it matter?
No, but so leaving Red Rocks, circling back to these girls that we came down from Essex with, got a hotel room for the night, and they were like, "Come, stop by," and so we get off. There's this car just following me, and it turns out it was just because they were going to the same hotel that we
It's
were
the
going
closest
to.
one.
I have overalls, long hair, and a fish ball cap on, and so my buddy jumped. He's like, I'll go buzz him and tell him to come down or whatever. And so I got out just with my hazards on in the valet circle drive and smoking a cigarette. And here, there's that car again. And it pulls up right behind me, and it's like Chan, I think is his name. Chan and John Popper get out, and I was like, what the fuck? And John Popper goes, I like that hat, man. You got an extra one of those squares? And I was like, yeah. And I give him a cigarette, and I was like, I got something else we could smoke, too. He's like, I'm good, brother. And Chan's like, can I get one of those, too? Yeah. And then they were gone, and my friend and the two girls came down. I was like, yeah. And they were like, what?
Oh,
Shut
man.
up. And I'm like, I swear to God, they were just here. It's so cool.
That is
It's
awesome.
pre-cell phones and everything.
Oh,
so
my
it's-
God, yeah. It's like 90, 94, 95, somewhere in there, yeah.
Dang.
Yeah,
Man.
it was cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
what an amazing musician that man is.
Absolutely.
But yeah, they would be on the stage, and then we would go to GFM afterwards, and we would make, of course, an album. We record one, and then we get to mix it. We get to
A
master
badass.
it. A badass album. Yeah,
Nice.
that would
Nice.
be it.
So what venue are you performing in that you can just hop down to Blue Springs afterwards?
Well, he's got all the resources possible.
Are we,
Exactly,
yeah,
man.
you're jumping on the PJ. We're private jetting.
You know,
Hey,
yeah,
hello.
exactly.
We've got all the
exactly.
resources, so
Yeah,
yeah.
Red Rocks. You mentioned Red Rocks.
There you
We'll
go.
just go
There
from
you
there.
go.
to
We're
there.
jumping on a
There you go.
bullet train, you know
All
what I'm
right.
saying?
All right.
But that was really wild. I know it was off the top of my head.
Okay. You get to have coffee with any one of your choosing, dead or alive. Who are you choosing and why?
Oh.
It's a good one, man. Anybody dead or alive? Oh, wow. Okay.
Is there a time limit on the coffee?
I mean, we're going to call it 90 minutes.
Okay.
90 minutes of coffee.
Or lunch or a beer, whatever
Okay.
the scenario.
All right. Anybody.
Oh, I got mine.
Oh, yeah.
You're
No,
first.
no,
You're
I
gotta go
first.
first.
You have to go
That's right, I
first.
forget. All right. It would have to be, before he went deaf, Beethoven.
Oh, man.
I thought you were going to come with Lars Ulrich.
Absolutely not.
I like
Before
it.
he went deaf.
Hey, he did gay. I'm not laughing at him, but he
Right.
did.
I'm not
But
either.
it's, yeah, I would Beethoven.
That's a
Cool.
That's
Great
legit.
answer.
That's actually very legit.
You're up.
Dang. Can I switch mine?
You
I'm
didn't
just
even
kidding.
say
I'm
one.
just kidding. I'm just kidding. Mine would be Jesus. Mine would be Jesus.
for real?
For real.
Okay.
Because
I like that.
I feel like he's got all the answers that anybody else has as far as music or anything else, but like infinitely more
That's true.
valuable. And if I
Why'd
only
you
have,
do that, man? Now I gotta change it.
Nope.
That's all right. I can't.
hey, you got Beethoven. Enjoy
true.
it, buddy.
That's true.
Enjoy it.
That's right.
He might turn coffee to wine. How am I supposed to know that?
Gosh.
He would be clutch. I think he'd be clutch. You'd know everything you need to know. Well, you only have 90 minutes. He can expand more than you could receive.
I
think, in
have
that
coffee
time.
with him every morning.
All
I
right.
guess that's a good point. That's
Television show called Fear Factor.
Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan.
Or is it the new one?
Nope. No.
Okay.
Old school.
Oh yeah.
It's the beginning of reality TV. You win the competition by tolerating laying in a coffin with a bunch of spiders on you, or whatever the case may be. This is not that. This is real life. You have to get from point A to point B. In the middle is your biggest heebie-jeebie, willies, creeps. What is it?
Oh, well, I would have to swim to the a depth of the ocean, and then go. Cause I feel like we were having this conversation the other day too. It's like
True.
the ocean is so scary,
Terrifying.
Deep in
Terrifying.
the ocean is so frightening, dude.
Terrifying.
I mean, people are people. I don't know. Stuff could happen, whatever. But the ocean, it's frightening. I think that would have to be it. I don't.
That's probably mine too. I mean, just.
That's so frightening.
We go to the beach? Not. You mean the part where there's water? Mm-mm.
Yeah.
How about that pool? That pool looks awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I'll sit up here in the sand and.
Yeah. What about you?
I have to say the same.
Okay.
The ocean is terrifying to me.
It is so terrifying.
I've only swam in it a couple times, and it was very short, shallow water.
Yep. And even then, a little bit of seaweed on the toes.
Yeah.
Step in some mud
Thinking
that's a little
jellyfish
cold.
are gonna just,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Well, hopefully you can see far enough.
Yeah.
What the?
Yeah, exactly. All right.
Can we bounce the question back or no? You said ocean, I guess.
Well, so yes, I'm terrified of the ocean. Oftentimes, folks struggle to come up with something, and so the thing that I use to get the juices flowing is Kill Bill.
I know the movie. I haven't seen it though.
I've seen it, but I can't remember much.
So Mickey Rourke.
Oh, I know who that is.
Chloroforms Uma Thurman, puts her in a coffin, and buries her 6 feet under the ground. And she wakes up like that or like the submersible Titanic.
That's exactly.
Just the absolute 187 flavors of crazy.
It's so terrifying.
That I would go in 0.5 seconds. Scares the bejesus out of me. You know?
And you're in this cramped space, smaller than this table, next to people 2,000 feet down.
People are like, so you're claustrophobic? It's like, I think I'm afraid of going crazy and being aware that I'm going crazy. And yeah, the claustrophobia doesn't help.
Yeah. I'm definitely claustrophobic. No, thank you.
Yeah. All right. You're given the ability to... Wait, are you...
I just did the ocean.
You went first.
Yeah,
okay.
that's right.
You're given the ability to visit your past self, any age of your choosing. What age are you choosing, and what are you saying?
Oh. Yeah. Okay, that's a good one. I would go... My past self. Okay. I would go...
I got it.
Okay, I would go back to when I was 15, and I would tell myself, stay away from the powders.
Perfect. Great answer. Yeah, absolutely.
Like powdered sugar?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You know, powdered sugar, powdered lemonade, all that stuff.
Okay. Gatorade mix?
Get up after 10:30 and the baking soda comes out. It's just an Arm & Hammer kind of night.
Oh, I get it. Okay. Cool. All right. So family stuff is stuff.
And I would also add in there, while you're young, learn more about the other side of music so I could be prepared for the future. That's it, though.
Cool.
Why you gotta come with that? I was gonna say I guess I don't have a particular age, but I would say like 9th grade or something, 8th grade even, probably 8th grade, and say like focus on your scales and practice more of the music because when you get older, and also learn how to do business because it will benefit you when you get older.
Great
All three
answer.
of those things.
Great. All right. Last one. Please complete this for me.
No problem.
The world would immediately become a better place in which to live, if only.
I feel like it doesn't matter like what you say. You can say anything.
It has to matter to you.
Well, it does matter to me. I would say if only more people knew Jesus and had a personal relationship with him, because for me personally, and I know people believe whatever they want, but for me, it's been like more life-changing than any of this stuff by a landslide.
Awesome.
I
love it. I love it.
That would be mine.
I mean, I gotta say, I did think of that on this one, and that was mine. It literally was.
No kidding?
Yeah, no kidding.
What age does this start for each of you?
As far as like where it happened, or where
not because Jesus, religion, Jesus' teachings. There's all of these different chapters, but the personal relationship piece is pretty deep.
It is.
And if this stuff is all surface, you gotta know ChatGPT. You gotta read all the way down.
And that's one book I have read.
Okay.
Yeah.
Many times, every morning
Same,
actually. Yeah.
Okay. So what age did you get?
Yeah. For
Profound.
Me, yeah, profoundness. I grew up in church, going to church camps, and I had the emotional thing, but it wasn't real. It was like like if I'm at church, I'm excited. If I'm not at church, I'm doing me. And then I grew up, and the people that were Christians were like Sunday Christians, and the rest of the time they were not that. And it's like, well, if that's what it is to be a Christian, that's not really interesting to me, because that's no different than anything else, or and so I'm in Missouri at that point. It's like, oh, I'm from the show me state. Show me, I'll believe it when I see it, which was not a good thing to say necessarily. I mean, it's good now, but at the time, no. So, married, young, Air Force. Mine happened like when my wife had her car accident. So like she had her car accident, man. We're supposed to go to a concert. She's late. There's lots of details to it. Anyway, so she's going out midday. She gets hit by a semi truck. She goes to Norfolk General Hospital, which is like a huge hospital with millions of people, the best hospital, and she's the second sickest or worst person in the whole like area. Anyways, throughout this whole experience, we're 11 months into our marriage. We spent our 1-year anniversary in ICU together. And throughout that whole experience and everything that happened, like, there's just undeniable things that happened from my perspective, from people who were doctors and nurses who don't believe that, stuff came out of their mouth. Like, I don't know what happened, but this just happened. Stuff like this, just like numerous things. And that point, for me, like the exact moment I remember, I went into this room. I went into her hospital room. There's a lot of details, but I was in Virginia. Where I was up here. The hospital was down here. She was life flighted. Between there two, there's tunnels that go under the ocean and stuff, and traffic, and it's like a good amount of drive. So by the time, and I was in the Air Force, they wouldn't let me drive down there, so I had to wait for them to come to my house, then for them to drive me down there, which already is like, and you can't know anything because it's HIPAA, so I didn't know anything. And all I know is she's in a car accident. So by the time I get down there, I'm met by the chaplain at the freaking door, and we go up to her room, and she's already been through one surgery, but got tubes and all this stuff, and like, it's me and the supervisor that I don't even know who this dude is really. And so like, it's her in the room, and then like all the nurses and people like go out for a minute, and it's just me and her, and I'm telling to Jesus, like, I'll give you my life if you give me her life. And that was like, I guess where it all started pretty much.
Okay.
And then like,
how long have you been married?
Almost 15 years.
Cool.
Well, 15 years. But next month, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah. And June 8th, actually a couple days ago, was like the date that it happened.
Oh, wow.
14 years
Yeah.
ago. So, yeah, but yeah, that was the beginning for me. And then since then, just like so many things. And then life has progressed, and my relationship has grown with Jesus, and like my faith, my knowledge of the Bible, and just, everything that we've been through together and our stories, and just like unbelievable things that have happened. Like,
I love it.
It's just like so solid to me. And I'm a relatively concrete type of guy, and it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I've seen clips of whatever that is in Virginia, where you starts off as it, and then all of a sudden it's under the. I'm like,
yeah.
Why are you not picking another way to go?
It's the only way.
I know.
Yes,
I know, but
it's crazy.
I'm like, I don't stop giving me that feed. Profundity for you happens.
For me, so when I was 29, I used to be, and I mean, I think the music tells it a little bit. At the same time, I was looking, after I got hurt, in the Army, I was looking for purpose. What is what? And I had a lot of time to think. And so I got into the fact of, okay, I don't know where you are, God. I know there's something there. I've always had a feeling. And so I chased it, and I chased it in the wrong way. I went to I tried to pretty much like spirit hunt, and stuff like this, just to try to contact the other side and all this stuff. And then weirdly enough, something did come into contact and stayed. And it's weird, I know. It sounds weird, but it's true. And every night I would have dreams that were unexplainable. Every time I'd try to go to sleep, there would be banging on the door.
What?
Oh, I'm not kidding with you. I'm not joking at all. As far as I went into it, I understand why it happened. I mean, I did. All I did was search for it. And so what happened is, again, it sounds crazy, but I got a couple that stuck to me, and wherever I went, they were. It was awful. I called a church because I didn't know what to do. This happened. This was every day. This was happening. Wouldn't stop. Called the church, and someone answered, and I said, I need baptized. I was scared to death, and went and talked to the pastor there. His name is Bill Welthall, a good friend of mine, and we started going to Hy-Vee every week, eating breakfast, and he would teach
Helpful
me.
smile in every aisle. I mean,
it was a great thing.
Sometimes it's the Son of God, and he's stocking the shelves.
It's true.
So that was it. I didn't realize, and I hadn't realized this all my life. I was like my mom was Lutheran. She raised me, again, similar to him. But when I went and talked to Bill, he showed me. He goes, you know who God is, right? And I said, yeah, he's Father God. And he goes, no, look. And it says Jesus, he was, he is, and he, all of this. And I'm like, he was in the beginning, there was God, and the Word was God. And it just started coming together. And then I'm like, okay, so interesting. Tell me more. And we got in great conversations. Everything was cool. And then I went, and 6 weeks later, this stuff was still happening, though I think it was starting to recede, something like this. I couldn't really tell, but it wasn't as bad. Still, 6 weeks later, I get baptized. And once that happened, the week before, I'll say this, the week before I got baptized, he was there at the table, me and him, Bill. Yeah. And he said, I think that you're saved. He's like, for some reason, God's, I can see it. I can see a change. I can see all of this. And I was like, awesome. Let's do this. I'm ready to do it. And then I did. And then after that, the drive home, Jesus came into my heart. The Holy Spirit truly showed himself to me. And I cried on the way home, wailing. I mean, bitterly, but beautifully. I mean, getting all this stuff out. And I came home, and I felt the Holy Spirit for the first time. I didn't know what to think. I didn't know how to think. And I'm a guy that's very analytical. I'm a person that will guess this and then see why this is. And I'm just that type of person. And so I went home, and that happened. And it was like, okay, wait a minute. So all of this stuff that I was studying, all of this stuff that I was looking for like, is that real? Like, what is this? So I started going into the Bible, reading it, and it's everywhere in the Bible. Yeah, all that's real. I just tell you not to believe in it. I'll tell you to believe in me, says the Lord. And I'm just like, it just, and I'm like, so all this stuff was real. All of it. It was gone. The whole house was swept. It's the only way I can put it. And then the spirits never came back. My allegiance was to Jesus, and still is. And I never looked back since.
Wow.
And then my dad, just to add on to that, my dad a year later, he got cancer. And so I took care of him all the way until his death, and preached to him, hopefully hopefully he heard it. I think he did. And he sat up and said, help me, and it was a beautiful thing when he was dying. But, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, man.
Good
That was
stuff.
deep. I know it's the Badass Record podcast, but I got a little deep. We got deep, man.
I got two shares. One, and a lot of trauma has been shared from that side of the table, in the sense that 172 episodes is a lot of hours talking to people. Oftentimes it's unbelievable, like how in the world, sometimes, most of the time I am inviting, like, hey, we don't have to stay in this pocket at all if you don't want to, but if you do want to, that's fine too. And a lot of times people will. They'll, and I have some skill set at making folks feel comfortable. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. I don't know how else to phrase it. But I usually can field a variety of subject matters pretty well. And again, folks feel comfortable. 2 episodes ago, I did not do so well. And it was with Ernie Yates. Shouts out to Ernie. He is in a band called Stone Eagle. And I hit him with the visit your past self question. He had already shared this interesting story about a trailer and a trailer hitch and a pickup truck, and his ex-wife was driving, and they're trying to get it connected. They live in the country, and so he goes to try and heave ho it as some other force at the same time happened, and his pinky gets pinched, totally smashed. So he can really only raise it about this high, and it's on his fretting hand. Dang. And so when it does, it makes the ligament from that pinky stick out at the top of his palm, which makes it hard for him to fret. It's hard for him to play, and he wishes he would have lost it, because then that tendon wouldn't come across the top. So he told him, I was like, oh, that's great. Like, what did you do? Yeah. And he goes, oh, I went to the fire station. And I was like, what? He goes, well, they have an ambulance there. So that's what you do if you're out in the country and you get badly hurt. You go to the fire station. I was like, it's good to know. Makes sense. Good to know. So we get to the end, and I say, visit your past self thing. And he goes, and almost immediately, I was like, oh shit, he's fighting off tears. Like, and he goes, I wasn't going to bring this up, but it would be 5 years ago. Both of my kids were killed in a car accident. And I was just like, ah! Totally fumbled. I didn't invite him to stick around and to stay in that and talk about it. I just was at a loss for words. Mm-hmm. I said something dumb like, I'm sorry.
What are you gonna say?
I think I asked, was the lady with the piano, was that their mom? And then I moved on.
Yeah,
that was May 20th or something like that. Yeah. I haven't stopped thinking about it since. And I texted him when I was working on his episode. I said, dude, I feel so terrible that I don't think I handled that right. And he was like, you did fine. And I was like, well, thanks, but
dude, it's kind of like that at the studio too sometimes. I mean, music is really intimate, right? And then you get in this room and you close the door and outside world disappears. It's quiet, and you have these comfortable couches, and we're getting deep because you're working on music or whatever. And similar kind of thing, all kinds of stuff you talk about in there. It's like half music, half therapy a lot of times. Yeah, you never know, man. It's some crazy stuff.
The other thing is that faith and faith journeys have come up in a couple of episodes, and been woven pretty heavily throughout the talk, and I'm imagining that some folks that have sat over there are whatever the other direction is, atheists or there's nothing and whatever, mm-hmm. and probably folks all in between. And I think that's how this went. I think either somebody asked me to answer that the world would become if only. It was either that or somebody, or we're talking faith. And I basically said something like, there's all these beliefs about Jesus. Did he exist? What was he? Was he just a person? Was he the son of... We could be here all night listing the things that people believe and think. And I said, the only thing that I can really tell you for sure is that there's 1,000 stories in the Bible and so on and so forth. But the one common denominator is essentially the golden rule. Do unto others as you'd have done unto you, or
Yeah, love
more
your neighbor
close
as yourself.
love,
let's say, whatever.
or really in the way that that message comes to us in the Catholic Church is putting others first,
Yeah.
and as often as you can, or as often as is possible. And it's really if you just down to the kernel, it's the simplest freaking thing, and we couldn't be further away from it right now. I'm not saying everybody,
It's true though.
Yeah.
but through the lens of
Especially when you look at the church and stuff.
political stuff
Mm-hmm.
in this country, and the way that it is a 180.
Yeah.
Like others, ugh. I don't want to get others on me. I'm trying to do me.
Yeah.
And it's like, if that's everybody,
Look around.
no. If every single person is me first, how do we get anything done?
Yeah.
That's how it is.
Yeah.
It's a mystery. Like literally, how do we continue to survive and advance if it's what are we 8 billion? And just
Something like that.
your
yeah.
needs come after mine, sir. Anyway.
Yeah,
true.
yeah, 100%. 100%.
It is almost tomorrow.
Hey,
GFM Studios, Brian Kraemer, Nick Aguero. Let's see here. GFMrecording.com.
yes, sir.
And at GFM Recording Studios on Instagram. Best place for folks to keep their finger on the pulse of what's happening in that world is Instagram, or is there a different channel?
IG's probably better.
IG?
Yeah. That's
IG?
like our main. That's like our main.
Sure,
You know?
sure.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it, guys. It was wonderful to meet you. I've said this a couple of times before. In the beginning, it's like family and friends and people that I've known from 20 years in the restaurant industry, and that spills into musicians and then into venue owners and professors and authors and comedians. And point being, ever since that initial wave of friends and family and restaurant people, almost every person when I open the front door is a stranger.
Like a first time meeting.
Yeah.
Dang.
And sometimes it's neutral. Sometimes it's kind of like, oh boy, all right. And sometimes it's good vibes. And when I opened the door, I felt good vibes rush in, and that's always a treat.
Dude, awesome. Yeah, thanks for having us in your house.
Thanks
and,
for coming over
Yeah,
and
thank you for having us.
hammering out
This has been
a
awesome.
big chunk.
Yeah.
And I'm very eager and to whatever's on the horizon for the studio and this writer's room and the community stuff, all of it.
Dude,
So
awesome.
keep doing what you're doing, and thanks again.
Yeah, thank
very
you,
much,
man.
Floyd.
Talk to you
Appreciate
guys.
it.
Take
Bye.
care.